Hello. Yes, we are live. Welcome to Pontificators. It's a Pontificator night. It is Wednesday. It is 8 o'clock, and we are going to rock your world, you guys. We got a great topic. We are going to talk about. We're going to speculate, and we're going to talk about the future of the DCU. There's a lot of stuff going on right now with David Zaslav. I think that's how you say his name. And I mean, we're gonna be all over the place as the pontificators are. So we're gonna dedicate the whole show. We got a special guest as well, and I'll introduce him. And hopefully, we'll get couple more people in here. We got enough to start the show, but we got to get the regulars in here as well. So without further ado, let's get Todd Mulrooney in here. Mulrooney.
What's going on? We got all we need. We got three guys who know their stuff. The legends.
Yeah. We got a freaking show
here. Those other guys.
Yeah. Comic Book Bob. And Pedro Ang. Oh, shit. He just showed up. All right. Well, you know what? This guy is turning into just a great friend. We worked with each other, I think, in the past. We've crossed streams, and now we're on the same stream. And it's Chris Wozniak. What's up, Chris?
How's it going, guys?
Yeah, it's going good, man. And I think we got a doozy. We got a good show lined up, and I can't wait to see what everybody has to say about David Zaslav and kind of where the DCU is going, and also just maybe even the future of DC Comics as a publishing division. I think we've all heard the stories. We all have our opinions. So just as all the good pontificators shows, we're just going to point, counterpoint, and also just try to figure out maybe where they're going. We'll speculate where the future of the DCU is going. So let's get Pedro, who I just threw under the bus, and now,
Obviously. Obviously. I'm used to that already. So.
Well, Todd started it.
Yeah, I know.
Uh-oh. Pedro's gone already.
Yeah. No, I'm here.
Oh, man. We hurt Pedro's feelings.
Oh,
if
my
Latino
feelings are hurt.
If I apologize, Pedro, will you come back?
Let's get on with the show.
Pedro doesn't want to.
Maybe. I got a guy, Pedro. You need a guy.
Yeah.
Wait a minute. This doesn't sound good. Okay. Well, if you guys haven't heard, we got David Zaslav, and he is a Warner Discovery. He's kind of a headhunter, and he's coming into Warner Brothers. Just the whole like Time Warner, everything, and he's from Discovery. And it's weird to think that Discovery is in a way more of a power player in this situation than even Warner Brothers or Time, at this point. And so he's been given the task of trying to make the company money by saving the company money. So he's a little bit of a headhunter. So he's cutting divisions. He's going in. He's seeing what's working, what's not working. And he's made a lot of major decisions and changes. The most recent is the Batgirl movie, which has been axed. And I'm not sure, but I think that Supergirl movie has been axed too. Is that right?
Not yet.
I did. Oh, really? Okay.
Are you
I
sure?
heard it had been.
That's what I heard too. But
yeah, it's a rumor that it's on the X. But I mean, the thing is, like, he's not really politically motivated. It's more like who's making money, because he cut out Clint Eastwood too. Like, what's this crime, macho? He's out. Like, oh my God, it's been with us forever. Like, I don't care. No money, out. So, dude, like, I like Zaslav just because of that.
Yeah, his bottom line is profitability. So if you're not making the company money, then you're costing the company money. Yeah. And so I like this because we've had almost a decade, I guess, of wokeism where decisions are being made. Creative decisions are being made just based on ESG scores or on diversity or whatever. And examples now that just isn't working. It isn't working for these big corporations. So how you doing, Clint? What's up?
It's shocking that socialism doesn't work. I mean, it's worked in so many other countries.
Oh, yeah.
I
All
mean,
my neighbors.
like socialism has been such a good thing. I mean, I get postcards from my Venezuelan friends. Well, I used to get postcards from my Venezuelan friends. Actually, now that I think about it, I haven't heard from any of my Venezuelan friends in a long, long time.
Oh, they're all here.
Your
But
friends?
socialism, I think, yeah, like socialism has worked every place it's landed.
Yeah.
But other than that, everything's great.
Yeah.
dude. Like you know which Latin American country is in trouble because you see migration. Like before, like Panamanians like was full of Colombians because of like the 60-year war they had with the guerrillas and now it's Venezuelans. Like they're the guys doing like flooding into the country. So yeah, dude, like just because we have the canal and basically the US will not let us go commie, we receive everyone. Yeah, dude, it's weird. It's weird. Like it doesn't work, and people keep voting. Colombia just had a new president, completely communist. He was part of the M19 like guerrilla movement in the 80s, and now he's the president of Colombia. So Colombians are gonna start emigrating too. Like I'm just waiting for that.
Well, you know what they're calling the U.S. now with this whole raid on the ex-president Donald Trump.
Yeah,
They're calling the states here the Banana Republic.
yeah. And the thing is, like the whole thing with the Banana Republic, it's really funny because that's like Honduras, Nicaragua, and like all those countries in Central America. It was a Banana Republic because the United Fruit Company owned almost all of the land in the country. So the government had to basically consult with United Fruit Company to see what they were going to do. And that's like the whole thing of corruption. So calling Banana Republic, America Banana Republic, it's not really accurate because that would be like capitalism gone AWOL. So what you got right now, it's Stalinist Russia, basically, more so than a Banana Republic.
Yeah, but when a government can go after one of its own and do what, I think that's what they mainly mean.
Yeah.
There wasn't really respect for the law. They kind of rewrote the law so that they could do what they did. So
yeah, dude, it's a complete like overstepping
of their power. Yes.
Yeah.
So let's see. We got Willie J. Draws abolish the alphabet agencies. Lay Kick says Hail to the Pontificators. Sheldon Martin says, here come the hot steppers. Who's this guy?
Right.
Hey.
Technician, get tuned in. All right.
Who is that guy? And then Willie says, scorch earth. I'm all for it. Yeah. So the thing is, I want to say this about like moving forward with the DCU in the future and all that is this is all coming from people that really love the industry and love these characters. So I don't want anybody thinking like that we're just going to blast, DC and everything like that. I mean, most of us have been reading comic books since we were little kids, and we put a lot of hope in, when Marvel, the first decade, was putting out film, we had a lot of hope that they were going to continue like that. And now we're starting to see things just kind of erode. We're seeing the industry erode. The comic book industry, we're seeing the film, industry kind of start embracing the same kind of wokeism, and now we have this guy Zaslav that's coming in and could possibly be righting the wrongs, steer the ship in the right direction. So there's going to be a lot of speculation, just a lot of talk. So does anybody have like a way to move this forward? A question?
I'm shocked at how ruthless he's been with it. I mean, he's come in and he means business. I mean, he's not screwing around, it seems like. And, but I think that he's right. There's a lot of dead weight in the DC movie universe, and I think, what we talked about last time where, having a cohesive universe, a la what Marvel did in the beginning, is such a common sense thing. You wonder why they never did it. What was the rationale behind not doing it right away? Because like I said, I mentioned this again last time, but after the Marvel universe jumped off, Warner Brothers responded with that Wonder Woman show, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just like, are you, high? Did you just see what they did, and what the plans are? And they just went, ahead and we need to take one of our top tier characters and do a silly, campy television show that no one's going to watch,
Yeah.
So, I mean, I knew they were in trouble right from the start.
Yeah. I mean, I have a question, but I don't know if we're going to be able to answer it. Because the things like Sad Life is now focusing on movies, which is like the big like money maker. But once he's done with that, who's the next? I don't know, like next in line for the guillotine? Would it be animation with Cartoon Network, or would it be?
They're already
Animation.
cutting animation and stuff like that. So the thing is that you can't say he's discriminating because he's cutting across the board. You know what I mean? Like he's going publishing, he's going animation, he's going film, TV.
Yeah. The only color he sees is green.
Exactly.
So, yeah, he's a headhunter, man.
But
He's
you can probably kind of guess the conversations he's had is like, okay, where did you guys see this fitting in? Like, where does this fit? And everyone's like, I don't know. That girl. Where does this fit?
And representation and.
But back to what Chris said earlier, about like that Wonder Woman show, like the thing that when I read this about Zaslav is that if it's not working, no matter how much money they've invested in it, it's getting the axe.
Yeah.
They're cutting it. So this Batgirl, it did not test well. Most people said it wasn't that good. So it's not going to move forward. I heard the same thing with this Supergirl movie is that it's not that good. And so they're going to cut the dead weight because it's brand damaging.
Exactly.
Like that's what they have to look at too. Like before they were just putting stuff out. Like they were just, it's just content. It's just content. But now I hope what they're realizing is that you put out a bunch of clunkers and that's it. You don't get to move forward after that. Like like in comics, and Chris knows this, you're only as good as your last job. So if that last movie doesn't hold its own or, hit the blockbuster status, then there's not going to be another one. Because how can you keep doing that financially?
The other thing too is the reason why everyone's like, why are you cutting something that you already spent $90 million on? From what I understand, is due to the nature of the merger. If there are projects that as long as they don't put any more money into them, if there are projects that look like they're not going to be successful, they can write them off.
Exactly.
It's a tax write-off. So the thing is if because with Batgirl, they would have to put money into reshoots. So there's probably another $10-15 million at least. You're talking at least $25 to $30 million in marketing, even if it is going to something like HBO Max or something like that. So you're talking another $45-50 million they're going to have to dump into this thing, and then it could still end up being a flop. Right. So that's why they're cutting that, and that's why they're also looking at Supergirl and the other ones like that. And they are actually already cutting animation because those two projects that Kevin Smith was doing got cut. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So they're like you said, you're looking across the board.
Yeah.
Yeah, they can't just go from film to film. Also, just we'll do this and then we'll do that, and then and there's no connection between any of these projects. It's like there's no coordination between them. You know how the Marvel thing, always connects. All the movies connect in some way or another. When they were doing it with the Tesseract or whatever, they all had an interconnectedness that held it all together, and the success of one flick, feeds the other. And and everything moves forward. As a whole, this is the Marvel universe. This is everything we know. Yeah.
There's DC. To your point, to your point, real quick, is that even when Marvel would have a clunker, it would still do really well because it's wedged in between two successes. So they're
Captain Marvel
moving. Mm-hmm. We'll let Chris finish his point.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Well, but it just seems like with the DC movie universe, like the Batgirl thing, it's not connected to any Batman movie. It's just they're just like, oh, let's do this because we think it's neat, and it'll serve whatever agenda we're doing. There's no sense of having the universe be all tied together and having everything just be one cohesive thing that we could all invest in. They're standalone projects all over the place. And and if you don't like it, okay, well, I don't care about these other ones. Or maybe if I'm interested in this, I don't care about those. But when you have something that's a whole and a big, giant overall story, then even if you're not so interested in something, or if it's a character you don't care too much about, like Guardians of the Galaxy. Would I ever watch a Guardians of the Galaxy movie? Never. But when you connect it with everything else, yeah, sure, I'll check that out.
And Ant-Man's a perfect example of that. Like nobody's
example.
showing up for an Ant-Man movie on its own out of nowhere.
Right.
But I mean, they've trained their audience.
Yeah.
Like you got to show up for this one to know what's going on in the next one, and it's like they stole the page from. I mean, like the 40s and 50s, the afternoon matinee,
the chapter
Flash Gordon, and all that, all that stuff. It's like those
tune in next time.
Yeah, exactly. Tune in next time. Got the tag at the end. It gives you a little hint of what's coming next.
With the end credits, and
it was
Captain
a formula that worked for a
Return,
long time, and they reused it, and like it's one of those things where you kind of struck gold. And plus, they had really good movies right in the beginning. I mean, that first original Iron Man movie.
Yeah,
all the control across the board was great.
Yeah. But talking about brand damaging,
the thing is, where did this all come from? It came from comic books. That's exactly how comic books is structured. Where you have a cliffhanger or you have some dangling plot lines for the next month.
Even the crossover stories, that's straight from comic books.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So it was a template that worked. Why DC didn't really follow that, whether it was contempt or whatever it was, or where
it was the success of Chris Nolan.
Yeah,
the success of Chris Nolan's Batman, and then they shoehorned in Zack Snyder.
Yeah, what was
I mean, I think there was a little bit of. Go ahead.
Warner Brothers in general for a long time just had contempt for DC. And they kind of viewed them as just it's an idea house, and they were never hands on with DC or anything, except when when they started to lose money, they would start yelling, "Hey, heads are going to roll if you don't turn this around." But there was no indication ever that Warner Brothers had any respect for DC or the characters or or anything that was going on there. They just viewed them as it's something they owned. Okay, the Batman movie made money, but and they didn't tap into any of it. And when they did silly, stupid stuff, and that just goes to show. I mean, they had no respect for the medium,
Well, you know what?
Until they do, you're not going to have anything good.
Right. When you were talking, I was thinking like I worked for DC for almost 40 years, on and off, and DC has always been one of those companies that it felt like they were never really that proud of DC Comics. Like DC itself wasn't. Like they always were looking for something else. Like they always held themselves like we got to be more like Marvel. And to that point, when you think about the biggest success that DC's had, it's been when they wooed the Marvel guys. Like when I was working on Superman, all those Superman players, the only two that weren't Marvel guys, and I kind of was, but kind of not, was Dan Jurgens and myself. Ordway, all the writers, George Perez, they were all Marvel guys. And they
what do they do at Marvel?
They were all wooed over to work on Superman. And so then
he was inking, I think.
Up till the death of, were all Marvel players. And then even when they started doing the year one stuff and all that, Frank Miller was pretty much a Marvel guy. They bring Frank Miller over. They bring John Byrne even to the Superman.
Oh yeah,
they bring John Byrne over. They bring
that's all because of Carlin. That's all because of Carlin and the way he exited Marvel. And he was well liked over there. And and he had his issues with the people that we won't mention. And when he comes to DC, he brings a stable of guys with him, and that's that whole Superman office, which took off at that time. Superman in those days was one of the more profitable offices in DC, and it should be. It's Superman.
And then they did it with Marv and George on the Titans as well. But it's still the same formula. It's like Marvel guys coming over, and then DC saying basically, do what you do. You know what I mean? Like Mike was a pretty good editor. He was kind of a control freak, but he didn't control the ideas. Like he didn't control the creativity that much. He kind of guided.
Byrne was the first guy to kind of jump ship like that when he went to do Superman.
Man of Steel, yeah.
Yeah, and I don't want to speak out of turn, but I think if I'm remembering right, that Byrne specifically said, that I'll do it if Mike's the editor or something, because I don't think he had a relationship with DC editors, really at that point, and it was just Mike's being plugged in at the Marvel thing, he knew all these guys and he was able to bring them in.
Can we take a brief moment to respect John Byrne's output as a penciler? Like that Superman stuff, he was drawing 2 full issues at least a month. And I mean, it was nothing for him. And I'll put that stuff up against anything today or anything the last 20, 30 years. It was gorgeous. It was fun. That's what comic books were. He was just cranking out stuff. It's just insane.
Yeah. Well, also he was bringing ideas.
Yes.
He wasn't just a craftsman. He wasn't just a monthly guy. He was bringing new ideas to the table as far as Superman and anything that he touched. And that is truly amazing. I think the reason he doesn't get more credit is because I think he's kind of this guy that he kind of rubbed people the wrong way in the day, and so they don't speak fondly of it.
I think he still rubs people wrong today. He's got a rough personality from everything I've seen.
He's just an old school guy, man. And that actually brings it back to talking about that innovation of ideas. So we're talking about what's going to happen to DC now that Zaslav's in there and he's hacking. So after he hacks all this stuff away, after he clears all the dead weight, how does he then correct the ship? How do you then figure out what direction to go in? What's he going to do? What do you think he's going to do? Is he going to bring in somebody
some new blood?
Yeah, well, that's the thing. Is he going to bring in somebody to be the showrunner?
Well, he's already brought one guy in. He's brought one guy in, and I don't remember his name, but he was at Warner Brothers before, and I think he was at Disney, and he was the Harry Potter guy.
Mm-hmm.
And so that was his first hire, and also the board at Warner Brothers and stuff were really questioning it because that guy is expensive. You know what I mean? He's supposed to cut costs, not bring them to the table. But this guy, I think, is worth it, and he knows how to work franchises. So that's why he was brought in. That's why David brought him in. So I think it's specifically to probably work on the DCU because they really are sitting on a gold mine. The DC universe is untapped potential. That could be, it should be better than it was. Everybody at Warner Brothers should be ashamed of themselves because DC kicked their ass with B and C list characters in the day. DC launches out of the gate with the Trinity, with Superman, Batman, and Wonder Woman, and can't even come close to the numbers of Marvel movies. That's horrible from any executive, from any studio's point of view. This is criminal. Head should have rolled before this.
Was it because they didn't have that connective tissue with with their friend with like they had at Marvel with everything kind of, even if they weren't directly connected to each other, they kind of touched each other. You know what I mean? There was
it was the creators in charge of those movies.
They did have.
I want to cut everybody off for 1 second.
Okay.
I don't think they had the commitment from Warner Brothers to invest like that.
That's what I was wondering. What was the name of the guy that I can't remember his name? He was the guy that put all those ridiculous rules on him, super. It's got to be dark and it's got to be gritty and movies can't be more than 2 hours. Yeah, no, not the guy. The
executive,
Asian guy.
The Asian guy. Yeah, I can't remember his name now.
Yeah,
I want to say Harada, but that's not what it was.
Hamada.
He put those rules on there saying the movies they have to be exactly 2 hours long, and this crazy stuff that he just added on, and that I think that infighting prevented them from creating that connective tissue.
Well, also they did have the tissue. They had Zack Snyder. Zack Snyder had an overview of everything, but what happened?
But he kept getting hacked off.
Well, what happened is there was no success attached to it. So what do you do when you put all your eggs in one basket and you have this dark DC universe And so the movies start coming out, and they're not critically acclaimed. There's a lot of questions, and then they stop making money. You have a Batman Superman movie that didn't clean Marvel's clock. How did that not happen? You know what I mean? And so then you have to start rethinking things, but you're rethinking based on a template that already existed and that never was fully realized. You know what I mean? So then you're trying to correct things on the fly, and you cannot do that. And there was nobody at Warner Brothers that could do it. It was only Zach. And I'll tell you, this is just my personal view, and I think it's correct, is the reason the DC Universe failed from the get-go is they started off dark. They should have started like Marvel with like just a normal middle of the road kind of tone to the movies. Then they could go dark, they could go comedic, they could go in different directions, but it would always be at that level. Instead, they went really dark. Well, once you go dark with Superman, where the hell do you go?
Because he's the guy who's literally supposed to represent hope. You know?
Oh, dude.
Yeah.
He's literally the guy that's supposed to, like, literally the symbol on his chest is supposed to represent hope, and you went and you go forget dark and gritty with that guy.
Well, they just say it. They just say it, but they don't show it.
Yeah.
You know, the movie goes, "Oh, it stands for hope," but where's the hope in the movie? You know?
That was a horror film, man.
Yeah.
The guy in charge has to understand the material. I mean, that's what it comes at. The guy in charge, whoever's in charge, has to understand the material, or he's got to hire somebody that understands the material and have faith in that guy, that guy's going to do the right thing. You cannot, if you don't understand the characters and comics in general, then it doesn't matter how much money and power you had. You just can't make the right moves because you don't know. You just don't understand the material. You don't.
Right.
As
soon as somebody comes as an executive, if they came to me, if they came and they said, you know what, we're going to do for the second movie or the third movie or whatever, Batman v Superman, I would have nixed it right there. I would have said, no, this is not how you introduce Batman. This is not how you should.
Yeah, should say that.
And also, you're bringing in Dark Knight Returns. This is a really dark story. This is not a general audience type of tone of a story. And also the main point of the Dark Knight Returns was that Batman wanted to humble Superman. The reason the bleed thing was important was just so he could be human. He didn't want to kill him.
He wanted to remind him how
he never had any expectations of besting him. He just wanted to humble him to the point where then he could start being down with be the Clark Kent that he knows he was. So all he was trying to do is get this guy humble to the point where he could do what he needs to do. So Batman was in essence kind of trying to save Superman from himself, from being a government stooge and all of this other stuff. And he was willing to die for it. Batman was, but he never made any bones that he was going to be able to kill him or defeat him, or that thought the world would be a better place without him. That was not his goal.
Batman versus Superman should have been the fourth movie or something,
or the 10th movie.
Way farther.
It should have happened. It should have happened a long time, way.
A build up to Batman v Superman. But
it was impatient writing. Goyer took the best thing that he knew. They were picking, and Frank Miller's Batman versus Superman. We'll start with that because that's the best thing.
That was only amazing because everyone had a history.
You have to
Batman
build
and a different history with
Superman. Build up to it.
You build up to that.
I worked with fans that already knew the characters. You can't really throw it out there in the movieverse where the average viewer is not as well versed as a comic book reader would be. You got to treat them like they're new. You know, and ease them into it.
If we go back a step. Remember, DC was before it locked itself right in the mix of HBO Max. It was by itself. And someone must have gotten away because you remember everyone loved the Swamp Thing thing. I haven't seen it, so I don't know anything about it, but
it was good.
The Swamp Thing, it was good. People like Doom Patrol, and I like Doom Patrol. I've watched all that. It's good. But someone must have gotten away, and all of a sudden things started falling apart there before they even conjoined fully with HBO Max. So
it started falling apart, I think, from the very beginning with Zack Snyder, because Zack Snyder was embracing the darker DCU, the more adult books. He was not. He did not go. These are the standard DC universe stuff, right? He went to the Elseworld stuff. He went to the darker stuff, and he excels at it. Like I think Watchmen was really good, but as far as DCU stuff, he wasn't the right choice for it. I think
but they didn't. They had some successes, but they didn't build on them, right? I don't know.
I think what I'm trying to say, Todd, is that they were doomed from the beginning because everything was wrong. The DNA of all of it was wrong from the get-go. It was always going to fail. And then making Batman an older guy. Well, how do you start a universe, a cinematic universe with an old guy?
Yeah.
And it's Batman. It's not like some character that no one really cares about. It's Batman. Where can he go? And also, why the fuck would you do that? All those stories that weren't told, that no one's ever got to see, we'll never get to see. You know what I mean? Like all of that stuff, you'll never get to see unless they do it in the form of flashbacks. So it's only this character moving forward. And if you're going to do that, then why didn't you just do Batman Beyond? You know what I mean? It would have been a way better way to approach that.
I knew there was going to be a problem the minute Zack Snyder said he didn't believe in superheroes that don't kill. I said, then you don't believe in the DC universe, because that's Superman. And like in a nutshell, he will not kill the Batman. He won't kill people. It's heroes that are better than us. You know what I mean? They're paragons. They're meant to be not meant to be us. They're meant to reflect elements of us, but they're meant to be better than us. And if and the minute he said that he didn't believe in that, and he like you said, he like the Watchmen, he likes the darker stuff, he likes the more violent stuff. That's the wrong guy to lead the charge if you're trying to develop a connected universe.
Right, the perfect guy for the Watchmen. You know, a perfect guy for what was the other movie that he did? The Frank Miller
300.
300.
He's the perfect. Yeah, and honestly, he's the perfect guy probably for Batman versus Superman. But you got to put it in the right context.
Yeah.
I think he's got good ideas, but I just don't think like the tone was right. I think he was embracing all the wrong stories at the DCU, and I just think like you can't go anywhere from that. There's nowhere to build off of that once, because you're creating a DNA for a universe moving forward, and he just pigeonholed himself. There was nowhere they could go.
Look at Marvel. Marvel started with an updated version of the original Iron Man story, and they stuck with it pretty closely. They stayed true to the fan base. They updated it into Afghanistan instead of Vietnam, but it still worked out perfectly. And it was like there was a few tweaks on it with the scientist who sacrificed his life that made Tony have that heartfelt moment, but it was beautiful writing. It stuck to the source material, and it started at an origin. It didn't fast forward to like some of the last good stories. It's like they started the Marvel universe at an origin point and they built out from it.
Right. They started with that character that I thought would be the hardest to do.
Yes. Yeah. But that's another thing.
It was completely believable.
Yeah, but that worked in advantage to Marvel, because the things like if you see what they were doing with the X-Men, like the really famous Marvel characters, because the Avengers, I mean, as much as we love them, they were not like the top-notch Marvel.
They were B-list at that point.
Yeah, it's the X-Men.
Totally B-list.
So they started with something that nobody really knew, and maybe they didn't have like the spotlight that when they were working on that's why that movie's so good. Like I remember one. To me, it's the best Marvel movie still. Like that's the one I like the best.
Iron Man,
but they started with the solo characters, and they moved towards the big Avengers battle. You know, remember which movie? The Avengers movie that had all the carnage in it with the big,
Avengers.
Yeah, but with the Batman and Superman, they didn't just jump right into that. Yeah,
exactly. No,
where you go? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the thing is, too, like the heroes are only as good as your villains. They were also setting up major villains, like universe, like altering, type of villains. And so they set up Loki. They set up Thanos. they set up.
The Infinity Stones, yeah.
Yeah,
but you don't
Red
start
Skull?
with Thanos. You know,
No.
you start.
No,
with,
but they introduced him fairly early
Yeah.
on. You were building with the Tesseract, and then with the stones, the gems that were starting to come up as like kind of a way to connect all these stories, and then eventually paid off in an Avengers.
with Cap, we start with Thanos, with the Red Skull.
Red Skull.
And we
Skull,
we don't just jump right into the giant big cosmic standoff. Again, if you're where do you go from there if that's where you're beginning?
Right,
and also I mean, how much we missed.
Right, and when you start like at the middle of something, there's all these stories that aren't told. Like I thought, as good as Chris Nolan's Batman trilogy, I thought that last one that he did was absolutely horrible because it starts 8 years later. It starts 8 years later, and then you go, well, what about those 8 years that we didn't get to see? I want to see those stories. I want to see like him fight Penguin. I want to see him fight the Riddler. I want to see all of those stories. But it's like, no.
Well, I also like the plot point where they could just control a city and keep the police in the sewers for like 6 to 8 months. Just like like everybody, like we'll just control this United States city and not have the military attack, and the police will stay in the sewer just long enough for Bruce to fix his back so that he can come back. Yeah. Completely plausible as a plot point.
Time moves really weird in that movie. But I will say this. The first movie I thought was a really good origin story and building on the beginning. The second movie, I still think, The Dark Knight, I still think that's one of the best comic book movies.
The first two movies are amazing. Yeah.
And I think he dropped it. I don't know if there was interference with it.
I blame it on Goyer. Goyer's
I think he was done. Horrible. I think he was just done and wanted to move on. And so
I think what happened is and there's speculation to back me up on. Well, there's some proof to back me up. Is that they were putting the third movie into what's his name, the guy who played Joker's hands. Like it was going to be a Joker related movie.
Oh, probably.
Heath Ledger.
Heath Ledger. And then of course, he passed away. So I think he was what let the air out of the franchise. And to be honest, and Chris probably could back me on this, is that last Batman movie, the Chris Nolan stuff, it felt like it was a first draft. It was like there were things that just weren't resolved.
It felt like two movies in one.
My impression of that flick is that Nolan knew he was getting out at that point, and so he wanted to squeeze in, whatever points he wanted to get across, and then move on. And it's like that. When you get a television show, and okay, this is our last season, things just won't play normally, because you're no longer like in world building. You're just okay. We have this amount of time to do what we want to do, and then it's over. So I mean, creatively, that could really screw around with.
What's weird about
right
that?
The end, and then right backwards from that.
Yeah, contractually, he was probably he had to do it. To your point, Chris. And then, but the thing is that Chris Nolan was also attached to the DC universe moving forward. Like he was supposed to work with Zack Snyder early on. And so I don't know what happened there.
He didn't want any part of that.
Right. It could have happened, while they were developing that last movie. There could have been a lot of, like, we don't see it this way. We're not going to move forward the way you want, blah, blah, blah. Because it seems like Chris Nolan would be really outspoken, especially, riding high from those Dark Knight movies. But he was supposed to work in conjunction with Zack Snyder.
And this is how everything landed in Zack Snyder's lap is they wanted Chris Nolan, and Chris Nolan is walking away. He had his other movies planned at whatever. And all of a sudden they're like, well, Chris Nolan was going to be our Kevin Feige, and then he's walking out the door, and you got Zack Snyder sitting there.
Right. That's what I think. So that's what I think happened. I think, like you said, he's very opinionated. I think he got in there, and he just started butting heads with Hamada and all those other guys, and was just like, "Look, I'm not going to deal with this for the next 5, 6, 7, however many years."
Yeah, but do those guys understand the material enough? You know, when you have someone like Chris Nolan who walks away, who is a creative person that can take control and drive the bus, you know, when he says, okay, this is my stuff, I'm getting off, do the people, you know, who brought him in the first place, do they understand this material well enough to actually sort out that problem? Or do they just go, well, Zach's here, you know, he kind of knows this stuff, maybe we should hire him, you know? And, you know, it's from their point of view, they're just like doing, you know, business, you know, problem solving. You know?
It's like going from Michelangelo to the guy who draws with crayons, man.
Well, also like if you think about it, like Zach was probably in the early, you know, this is before movie one was made or anything was shot. He has good ideas, like he has good takes on some of these characters, some of this stuff. But the thing is, the executives could never really, unless they asked specifically or it was spelled out, the tone. And unless they, like Chris was saying, unless you had another person that really understood how to move forward with this, they just basically trusted Zack Snyder with everything, right? Like there were no checks and balances because there was nobody that could do it. You know what I mean? There was nobody qualified to go, hey, the tone of this is wrong, or ask all the right questions of Zack Snyder. They didn't. And so
they also saddled him with a huge problem in that, you know, from the, you know, Warner executive side of things, they're so late to the party, you know, with Marvel taking off and then their missteps and this and that, you know, I suspect that they, you know, tasked him with, you know, coming up with some blockbuster that would jump in and match, you know, what Marvel had going on. I mean, you know, because, you know, it seems like that's what he tried to do. He immediately went to the big stuff. They didn't lay in the groundwork, you know, they just jumped right into.
I think that was Warner Brothers. I think Warner Brothers is, and I'm not a Zack Snyder guy, so I don't want to make it sound like I'm defending him. But from what I understand, Warner Brothers started losing faith in him. Like this, the follow-up movie, because there was Superman, Wonder Woman, and then there was going to be another Superman movie before Batman v Superman, and also, you know, then they were going to introduce Batman, and then they were going to do a 2-part Justice League movie. Like the movie was supposed to be two movies. So like the first half is kind of the movie we saw with what's the villain, the lame
Steppenwolf.
Steppenwolf.
Yeah, and he was supposed to kind of introduce Darkseid. So at the end of that Justice League movie, Darkseid was supposed to be revealed as the main villain, and then the next movie was going to be a Darkseid, you know, centric movie. And so I just think that if there was success attached, if there was money, if it worked like Iron Man did for Marvel right off the bat, I think there would have been more coherency to it. There would have been continuity, and at least it would have made sense as far as films, right? We could still complain about the darkness or the you know, the small details, but as a universe, it may have been more complete. You know, because even like Superman, the first Superman movie, that one guy that was a general in the army, that guy was set up to be Martian Manhunter. That was never really fulfilled until the Snyder Cut. You know what I mean? So he was setting up things really early on in these movies, but I just think people's tolerance was just waning. There wasn't enough money in it. There wasn't enough success, and people weren't 100% on board with the movie.
That Martian Manhunter design in the movie was just complete horseshit too. Jesus Christ!
Yeah.
It was certainly mouth a little bit.
That certainly needed a second Superman movie, if not a third.
And that's
before you jump into Justice League, and you know, it just seems like they were just moving way too fast. And I think that's trying to play catch up with Marvel's, you know, runaway train. You know,
and this is my fear. This is my fear for the future, because, you know, and this is just my belief. I think they're going to reset the DCU with the Flash movie. I think they're going to do more Batman with Batfleck, but I also think they're going to do more Superman with Henry Cavill. Can you bring Amy Adams back as Lois Lane? because she's getting. I mean, I'm not trying to be mean, but Amy Adams is getting older.
I didn't think she was a good Lois
I think
Lane to
she's
begin
a
with.
little bit
How
older
dare
than
you, Clint?
Cavill. I'm just saying. I'm just
My God.
devil's advocate, if you will.
If
They are saddled with this issue of, okay, we're going to do a reboot, or at least a soft reboot, and we have the age of Affleck and the other actors.
Cavill's
like
40 now too, so
yeah. So,
but 40 is not that big of a deal. I mean, was it Robert Downey Jr. was 40 when he started Iron Man.
Yeah.
But he was also a guy that could hide behind the armor.
Yeah.
If you did that with Chris Hemsworth or Chris Evans, I don't think it would fly as well.
Yeah.
But,
and it's hard to you guys get that, at that age to maintain those physiques and to hide the wrinkles and super high resolution.
Well, God, with the trainers they've got, it's like I think if any one of us in this room had the trainers for about 9 months, we could probably star in a Marvel.
I would uncover the mystery about whether or not I have abs.
We should all try that. We should all do that.
I'll do it, man. Hey,
I want their trainers. I want the 2 to 4 hours every day.
Right here, right now, man. Let's do a health challenge, man.
Go on
30 days. 30 days to see who can lose the most weight.
Yeah, Pontificators. Yeah, get those abs.
The level of commitment I'm willing to do is get a photo of a guy that's really buff and
put your head in it.
Photoshop.
Nice.
Gee, is there anybody in here who knows how to use Photoshop?
Yeah.
Every single guy here knows how to use Photoshop.
I may have used Photoshop once or twice in my life.
We should just say we're gonna do it, and then just go blank, like with the screen.
Just get a big group shot of
for like 6 months, and then just
big group shot of the Thunder Down Under with our heads photoshopped.
Oh my God!
Yeah, dude, just grab the Barbarian.
That could be our standing poster for the Pontificators when we're advertising.
Like Sheldon said, man, with the roids and stem cell treatments they got these days, they could stay ripped till they're 60.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we talk about the fact that the Flash movie is going to be kind of like their soft reboot.
I thought that was Dr. Manhattan first.
Let me
go ahead.
Let me read this first, because this will lead into what you're talking about, Bob. This is a full list of upcoming DC movies. I'm not sure, because I couldn't find a date on this. I think this is it's August 3rd. So this was still a little bit of ago, 7 days ago. So what they're saying is that Black Adam is still a go.
Yep.
That's so racist.
Yeah, and then I guess this Shazam Fury of the Gods. I actually like Shazam not being part of the DC universe, to be honest. I think even as a comic book character, I liked him better as just the Shazam universe. I thought the tone worked better because it was kind of sick and comedic. Yeah. And then when you bring him into the DC universe, the tone changes. And also, we already have Superman, so why do we need Shazam?
Yeah.
It's totally a family comedy. It's like it's for the whole family. Like, they do a great job with it.
Yeah, I think it should be more kid friendly kind of thing. Just big more fun. Don't get too serious with it.
That's how the comics were back in the day. I mean, in this, when I used to read Shazam, when I was 10, and he wasn't really connected to the rest of the DCU.
Oh, absolutely.
The Fawcett universe.
The apparent, and it really is true. It's the Shazam family, and that was its own little thing. And on occasion, like towards the mid 70s, they started to have some crossover stuff with him. But for the most part, that whole series was kind of left alone on its own, and it was great.
I completely agree with you. I think that Shazam works as just a self-contained universe. It should be its own universe, because also there's one major question when you start bringing them into a more serious universe, the DCU, or even a serious movie tone, is that this is a kid, what I mean? It becomes an adult. So it seems like if you bring him into a Justice League scenario, right? Once the Justice League figures out that this is a kid, then morality, like what do you do with that? You know what I mean? Like how do you deal with that? He still has the mentality. This is always the weird thing, but that's why Shazam worked as a kind of a silly idea versus a serious. It's because he's got the wisdom of Solomon. Like he supposedly has this like intellect, but he's still a kid. But they never really bring up the wisdom of Solomon because
never seen it.
No,
it takes away all the fun of the character.
The other side of the coin with that one is if you got the right screenwriter, you can make that a real fun, interesting twist inside of the plot of a big movie. Is all of a sudden Superman and Batman realize Shazam, who is probably one of our most powerful guys except for Superman, is just a little kid sitting here fighting with us.
Yeah, but
And
doesn't
if you write it right, if you write it right, it could be really fun.
yeah. Well,
it
they did that.
Child abuse at some point.
Well, that's the way to write it wrong.
Yeah, well, they did that. That was actually one of the cool things about the animated movie.
Yeah, exactly.
They act because it was the God, I can't remember which one it was. It's the one where they used Batman's contingency plans to take everybody out.
Mm-hmm.
And then they were talking to him about it, and they're like, "Well, we got to bring up the fact that Shazam is still a kid," and they're like when he kept that secret from him. Batman was like, "I knew." He goes, "Of course you did," and you never said anything to us. He's like, "It's got the wisdom of Solomon," you know. It's
Yeah, I think there's an issue though with bringing Shazam into a serious DCU movie because we have Superman, and now we've got Superman's cousin.
Yeah, Magic Superman.
And you have Supergirl. You already have like those type of ideas. I just think that it works tonality wise. I think you could have a lot of fun with it if you don't try to bring it into a more serious DCU universe kind of environment. But let's go on. So I think that this is still release date December 16th. Yeah. So then the Aquaman Lost Kingdom, it says release date March 17th. Wait a minute. What was this? December 16th. So this is this is March 17th. And 23. What was the other one? Was that it's
2022. That's around Christmas, yeah.
Right. So I think this is just because of the Amber Turd stuff.
Well, no, there's actually a backlog of special effects, like anything that needs the special effects movies. So that's why a lot of these DC movies have gotten pushed back, because actually Black Adam was supposed to release this summer, but all these VFX studios are being inundated with all these superhero movies now, and like you've heard how the artists, the animators, the CGI artists are complaining about Marvel dropping movies and changes on them last minute. Yeah. So there's a huge backlog for all these superhero movies. That's what happened with DC with these three movies, is they all got pushed back to finish up the special effects on them at the CGI studios.
Well, I heard Aquaman was finished. No,
that's another one that kind of it isn't the Amber Heard thing that pushed it back. It's the special. I mean, look at all the undersea stuff with the creatures in the first movie. I'm sure there's a ton of CGI in this movie, and all these CGI studios, the VFX houses, are getting inundated, and they're having a hard time keeping up, basically.
Yeah, it says that they're bringing in Ben Affleck's Bruce Wayne to the movie.
Oh yeah, that's the other thing.
Yeah, so that's. I don't know, man. I thought that Zaslav was going to cut this stuff all off, but then it seems like some of this stuff's going to keep moving forward. So I don't know if they're going to keep the actors and then just like change the tone and move it forward, or what they're going to do. Go ahead.
Well, I thought with the Flash problem, with the optics problem with the actor, it might be a good idea to recast that part, and then CGI the new actor's face over him.
And just
move forward.
That's something that they think might be happening. There's a guy I thought
it was my idea.
There's an actor they just announced who he looks very similar to Ezra Miller. They announced that he's been picked up by Warner Brothers, and he's going to be in future DC projects. They've been very vague about what he's going to be doing. Mm-hmm. But if you see a picture of him, he was in that show Teen Wolf. But he's
Okay.
he looks he's got the
I
same
know who you're
general
talking about.
facial structure
He does.
that Ezra has, and
He does.
I
Look
think what they're
similar.
doing is they're trying to weigh whether or not he's it's you know, like at this point, man, if they put this movie out, it's gonna fail.
Well,
If they put
Zaslav has said that they are going to rethink and they are going to reinvest in some of these projects. So this is also like a year from now, this Flash movie.
Yeah.
So that's a long time, but it's enough time to replace the actor, you know, with pickup shots or digital like face. They could just like, you know, use the same body,
They
but
fake the face, yeah.
yeah, change the face. But who knows? I have heard that the Flash movie, people who have seen it said it's really good.
Mm-hmm.
So I also
Really?
heard that with Black Adam, and I heard that with the Aquaman movie. I haven't heard anything about this Shazam: Fury of the Gods, but I have heard that Black Adam, for the most part, is pretty good, and that Aquaman and this Flash movie is pretty good.
Yeah, if it looks like it's going to make movie, they're not going to axe it, you know. And but then, you know, they're stuck with that whole problem. Hey, if we're going to continue on, you know, they're left with these, you know, dangling threads of the previous, you know, regime, and they got to try and tie them together and make something cohesive to move forward with.
That's
And
the other
then
thing too. Yeah,
married to those other actors and everything, it's going to be tough.
Yeah, is it true that Batgirl, like what was it? Was it Keaton's Batman was going to show up in that Batgirl movie? Is
at
that
the
right?
very end of
Mhm.
it, I think.
At
Yeah,
the very end, yeah.
It wasn't it?
yeah. The thing is like the reason why they haven't.
But the
just
reason,
flat
wait,
out-
hold on. The
Go
reason
ahead.
I said that is because I think Chris is right. I mean, I think it's gonna be more than just replacing faces, because I think some of these things, these movies rely on other movies, so they're going to have to try to figure out, you know, if they don't release that Batman movie or the Batgirl movie, then how are they going to deal with that? And also, right here, you see the Supergirl character.
Mhm.
So if they don't release the Supergirl movie, you know, how are they going to explain some of this? So it might be more than just the actor, you know, Ezra Miller, or Ezra, what's his name?
Ezra
Yeah.
Miller.
Ezra Miller.
Ezra Miller, yeah.
Yeah.
It might have stuff to do with some of these other actors and some of the story points.
I think that's why they haven't just flat out axed the Supergirl movie, because they're looking like because like you said, this movie was 110% meant to be the soft reboot. The Flash was meant.
Oh, yeah.
That's why they're doing the Flashpoint paradox. This is supposed to be the soft reboot that they were going to use to go forward on, but because of the crap with him, they don't know what they're going to do with it now. There's too much money invested in it. There's too much time invested in it, and the fact that it is going to be the platform for your reboot, that's going to cause that. That's why they have not come out. I think that's why they haven't come out to do that. I honestly think that they're going to do like Chris said. I think they might try to CGI that guy's face onto him or something.
Well,
like
from
that.
what I
don't
heard,
know.
from what I heard, Bob, the Flash movie is going forward.
Yeah, they're going to do it. But I think, but here's the thing: if he's still attached to it and it's his face on the screen, it doesn't succeed.
No, it won't happen. I mean, Zaslav hasn't said it outright, but he has said that these movies that look like they are going to be successful, he doesn't mind putting money into them. He hasn't been specific.
Yeah.
But I do think that in a roundabout way, he's talking about this Flash
reshoots and stuff.
Yeah.
And it's not a hard rewrite because as comic book fans, there's Barry Allen and there's Wally West. And there's an easy out as comic book fans.
I mean, if they grab another actor and they call her Barry Allen, I wouldn't mind. And I think the rest of the
especially with the Flashpoint and the multiverse, all that.
Exactly.
There's easy fixes, not easy fixes, but there's fixes to be had that hardcore fans of DC are going to be like, oh, okay, that's awesome. It's like that's how you got rid of Ezra Miller because he's a douchebag.
I think that's the way you have to do it, man. Because at this point, if they leave him in this film and they don't reshoot it, it's DOA. We lost Chris. Did we lose Chris?
No, it's not at all DOA because people will just show up for a hot mess. Like it's why when there's a car crash, everybody slows down because they
It
want to look
won't,
at
but
it.
it won't be the success they need it to be. I think we lost Chris.
Yeah, we lost Chris.
Devices not connected. Yeah.
Uh-oh.
Hopefully Chris comes back. I'll
Yep.
stay here and keep an eye. Oh, there he is. There he is.
My
There you
girlfriend
go.
came in and the dogs.
Was
You
it
didn't wanna hear that.
something Bob said?
Yeah.
Yes,
I'm usually the one crossing the line.
Well, my dog heard your dog, Chris, so now he's upstairs
great.
in the studio here to eat my
Somebody
face.
in the chat said Art's dog heard Ezra Miller and went on high alert. So
Yeah, somebody has to.
He's properly trained.
So also there's a couple other movies. Let me go back to the article. There was a Blue Beetle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
People are wondering about that.
So this will be interesting. Direct Blue Beetle movie centered around whatever we already know. While originally set for release HBO Max, the film is now slated for a theatrical release. Because also David Zaslav said that he actually believes in the cinematic. He has little faith in the streaming services, and to be honest, I think he's right.
Oh
I
yeah.
think he's right too.
Yeah.
I mean, Top Gun is showing the way, man.
Tom Cruise. Tom Cruise saved
The summer.
the theater business.
Dude,
Like,
that
he
movie.
came out and showed, like, if you put good shit out there, there is still
That movie just broke.
big time money to be made.
It just replaced Titanic as the most successful.
But also,
movie.
let's not underestimate the Spider-Man movie too.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely. These movies are huge hits. I made tons of money.
The Spider-Man
and-
movie is the reason why Doctor Strange did as well as it did.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
That Doctor Strange movie. If you tune out completely and just enjoy the visuals, it's an okay movie. But man, as soon as you try to think, that thing's gonna hurt your head.
Yeah.
And I don't mean in a good way. I mean in like the worst ways possible.
Yeah, but you look at Netflix losing subscribers, like
Oh, man.
the future, like there's a chance, and I'm not saying it's going to happen. There's a chance that streaming may have been a fad.
No, I mean,
It's just-
streaming was a solution for a situation, which was COVID. But
There was a
after-
younger generation that was poor, and they could spend
Yeah.
$8 a month and have all the Netflix channels.
Exactly.
And now,
Well,
now
it
they're like 10 to 15 years older. I'm not sure. Like streaming will stick around, but I'm not sure it's going to turn into the future that all these
But
studios.
they've
dump
also
their money
been
into.
flooding the stream. All
Yes,
the,
there's so many of
it's
them now.
still- it's a
They're-
glut.
'cause-
Yeah.
Yeah, because they're
Absolutely.
trying to grab market share, which is why Netflix puts out so much crap material. They're just trying to hold on to their audience.
Yeah,
Right.
and they're all bleeding. I think
Like,
all
they
their
all think
streaming
it's the
channels are
future,
bleeding.
so they're all trying. Yeah, they think it's the future. They're all trying to grab as much as they can
Well, to be
going forward. You know,
right, and
But
to be
there's a lot of
honest,
crap.
all it is cable on your computer.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
it's not this revolution of oh wow, this is like a new way to watch things. The only thing that it really has in its as far as moving things forward is like Netflix was doing serialized where you could binge watch. Like you could
Yeah.
download 12 episodes of Stranger Things or whatever it is, and you could watch them all back to back. But then Disney started going, well, we don't want to do that because then people are just going to subscribe to The Mandalorian. They're going to watch the season and then they're going to unsubscribe the next month.
Yeah,
And the
exactly.
thing is, well, the only benefit to your new technology of streaming is that somebody could binge watch. Well, if you're taking that away from them, or you're going to add commercials and stuff like that, well, then this is just asinine. It's just cable. It's just another cable type of venture. Disney already had the Disney Channel. Why the hell would they need Disney Plus?
yeah, you need a hell of a carrot to keep people around for that.
Or you
like
need
I
be able to
signed up
stream or
for.
something. Go ahead.
They had the Beetle thing on it. What was that? Apple TV or something? I had never used
Mhm.
it, and I signed up for that because it was the Beatles show. But after it was over, they didn't have anything else that I cared about. So unless you've got a lot of carrots, you're not going to hang on to those guys. And that's the whole thing, is they're putting out a lot of crap. just to hang on to market share.
So
And-
since you've got it on the screen, and you just took it off the screen.
Oh,
What do
I'll
we
come
think?
out the back.
What do we think of Lady Gaga as Harley Quinn?
I don't know.
I don't know. I'm curious,
'cause
especially
Clint-
in the tone of the first Joker, because
Yeah,
I
'cause
think
you
you're
like
some washed-up
you-
lounge singer.
You're like that.
that this mentally defective gets obsessed
No.
with, and
Dude,
like
you're
they're
like that-
taking it a totally different tone,
It
but they're
might
gonna
work
take in that dark.
with him.
Yeah.
You're like
Yeah,
that guy. You're like that song. What's that song? I like my women a little on the trashy side.
Yes, yeah. Well, and then that's the whole Joker movie. Is it's like these are people that are like circling the drain, like they're
From that point of view,
it's like an Elseworlds. You got to look at it as like an Elseworlds.
Can you really capture what they did with Joker? in a
Well,
second
we're
film
gonna.
like that?
I don't think they can, but I think this will be an interesting take on it. At
Yeah.
least.
And does that Joker fit in with the rest of the DCU? Because that's an unusual take.
I don't think so at all. No.
Come
Yeah,
on,
so-
Joaquin Phoenix and Batfleck. Let's do
Well,
it.
No, I don't think so.
I'll
Yeah,
pass
I
on
don't know
Lady
about
Gaga. Sorry. I'll pass.
It might work in the context of him playing the Joker and what they did there. I mean, they look like
Brooks
they
and
might be
Dunn.
compatible in some kind of relationship, but
Yeah.
that's a very unusual take on the Joker. And I don't know if that's going to work in the superhero context.
It was an unusual take that made a buttload of money.
That was
Yeah.
no. The Joker film's awesome as a character.
Well,
Yeah,
it
it's
made,
very
it
interesting
made a
movie.
buttload of money because it wasn't expensive. But the thing is, it really wasn't the Joker, and this Lady Gaga is not going to be Harley Quinn.
Hi, I'm
Yeah.
Harley
It was equal parts. It was equal parts Taxi Driver and the King of Comedy.
Oh,
They would have to
absolutely!
do a very-
Totally stole off of Taxi
A
Driver.
very different take on Harley, to
It would have to
Yeah.
be a
to
hugely
fit in
different
with
take.
that world. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's going to be a completely different Harley Quinn.
Yeah.
Why not? I mean, because this is like somebody said, it's an Elseworlds tale. I think the mistake would be to ever try to bring this into the DC universe.
Yeah.
And then it brings us up to Batman too. So
Oh,
now
motherfuckers.
they have
Edward.
this. Yeah, they have this as a
I
problem.
love
they have,
you forever, Edward.
They have Ben
No.
Affleck. They have Ben Affleck, and then they have Robert Pattinson now.
the vampire kid. Yeah, the glowy vampire.
I'll give him credit, dude. Here's the thing. This movie was actually much better than I thought it was going to be.
Oh yeah, it was a good movie.
It was
I
a
thought
really
it was
good
a
movie.
Yeah.
I'm still not sold on him physically as Batman, though, man.
Nope.
He bulked up a little bit, but nowhere
threw me
near what he
off.
should be.
It threw me off when he glittered in the sunshine.
I
But,
thought it was good acting in The Mask.
Yes.
Their take
Yeah.
on Bruce Wayne is, what Reeves is doing is that Bruce Wayne is not yet cooked yet. He's still percolating. He doesn't know, what he's going to do with Bruce Wayne. And I get that, that's an okay way to go at it. But, but just like from Pattinson's point of view, like I think behind The Mask, his acting was good because, and that's in that scene that I wrote where Dana's calling him Bruce Wayne and everything.
Right.
He's selling it with just his eyes. He's not speaking so there's something there, but I don't know what they're going to do for a sequel.
Well, the article says to be
If
announced,
there's going to be one.
and then it says those are all the plot details we have. The Batman does not exist within the DC universe, like the cinematic universe as we know it. It's an alternate universe, so to speak. So don't expect Aquaman or Flash cameos. Reeves is also developing an HBO series focused on Colin Farrell's Penguin. I heard that may or may not happen.
I'll be shocked if that gets filmed and put out. That seems
I'll tell you
like
what,
one of the things that'll be on Zaslav's chopping block.
Yeah, the Penguin was great in the film. As good, like Colin Farrell did a great
Amazing job.
I don't care to see a
Nobody needs to
about that
see a
guy.
movie of it or a streaming show of it.
Yeah.
Well, I think any movie, like I guess the Joker could sustain it, but any villain without Batman or any like those Gotham Knights or Gotham High or any of those things, if there isn't a Batman character in it, who cares? You know, you want to see Batman, Birds of Prey, Wonder Woman 3. I love Gal Gadot as Wonder Woman. I think she is brilliant casting, but man, I didn't even see the second one. I didn't.
It's garbage.
Yeah, I didn't
Yeah.
want to. But man,
It was
she is
bad.
she is perfect in this role. I think when the first 2/3 of the first Wonder Woman were genius, the last act just turned into like a CG weird,
It was
like
crap.
video game kind of thing. But I think Patty Jenkins needs to really be heavily edited and pressured.
She needs somebody else to write the script and her not to touch it.
She's
She was
like
complaining about how the script for the first movie was forced on her, and that the second movie was all her. And like that says it all.
It shows.
Yeah,
It
that says a
shows.
lot then. Because here's the thing: like I put her in the same category as someone like Tom King, who's someone who is a competent writer, but man, they need a strong editorial oversight. They need a strong editorial hand on them.
She needs
or
a
else
handler.
they need a handler basically to keep them from going off reservation.
Yeah. And then so that's to be announced. So we'll see if that happens. And then we got the Untitled Superman reboot. I don't think this is going to happen.
That's not going to happen.
Especially in the light of what's going on now. What do you guys think?
That's news to me, actually.
This was
J.J.
a
Abrams
rumor.
stuff has been getting nipped in the
that's
bud by
a-
Zaslav.
Yeah,
His
That's coats.
J.J. Abrams' big creator, his own creative thing, his big movie there. It was like Demonito or Desponito or something. They already canned that. And I think this is the next thing on the chopping block.
Well, here's the issue with all of this is that you can't have a cohesive universe and have 19 Supermans and 13 Batmans. I would speculate, I don't know, obviously, but I would speculate that a Reeves sequel might even be in jeopardy,
which sequel?
Because, Matt Reeves' Batman sequel.
Oh, yeah.
Are they really going to have two different Batmans running around?
Yeah, that's
Right.
confusing. It's going to be confusing, yeah.
Well,
The
you're
only
right.
thing he's
You're
got
right,
going
Chris.
for it is critical acclaim and a ton of money. So.
Yeah, because I heard that what David Zaslav wants is he wants a coherent universe.
Yeah.
He had said that. So when you think about these alternate things like the Black Superman or Matt Reeves' Batman or even that Joker movie, was the Joker movie to be announced? Was it?
That's already been announced.
No, it's October 4th. But I guess we'll see. But it seems like based on what Zaslav has said already, that I don't think these things are going to happen. Or especially Zatanna, that's not going to happen.
Yeah,
Because that's the first DC character that comes to mind when you think of making.
Well, and that HBO Max Green Lantern thing, that's got to be DOA also. I'm guessing.
Yeah, that was one of the projects that Kevin Smith was attached to.
Yep, and the Supergirl thing.
Yeah,
And also, Kevin Smith was doing
Adam
Bizarro,
Strange,
right?
the Adam Strange animated series, that's been axed as well.
Yeah.
And Kevin Smith was doing Bizarro also, right? With
Kevin Smith.
with Nicolas Cage. Like that's axed too. That's out.
Good. I'm glad.
Good.
And then this Supergirl movie is to be announced. So I think that's just a nice way of saying that it's probably going to get axed. So I don't see a lot of those later ones. Like I don't even see the Blue Beetle happening. To be honest, I definitely Zatanna I don't see happening. The J.J. Abrams Superman. And the Matt Reeves thing, there's a lot of success attached to that.
It didn't
But
break a
I don't
billion,
know
though.
if they're going to try to follow it up. I didn't watch the movie. Does it end on any kind of cliffhanger, or does it seem like it's another movie?
Hey, there you go, Chris. You could tell us.
And that's exactly what I said.
How does your movie end?
That's where it ended.
Yeah. Oh man.
But going back, I mean, I think like if you're going to have a Superman in the movie universe, then I think a character like Supergirl doesn't belong in the movies. I think that's television, and that's a good distinction where you have your main your main A-list characters doing your film franchises, and if you're going to do television shows, you have your B-list characters, and I think that would be a better suited use of B-list characters, you know.
Yeah.
And I could be wrong because obviously Marvel doesn't give two shits. They'll make a movie about anybody and make it good. But DC hasn't hit that point yet. You know, I think they need to first establish some kind of track record with a universe.
Right,
Before they bring out, Blue Beetle movies.
Yeah, and I think
thank you, Frankie. I said at the beginning, I thought that Supergirl was canceled as well, but somebody in the panel said it was
it's
not. So
it's not yet. It's on the bubble.
Not
They're
yet.
looking at it.
Yeah.
I think because she is so connected to the Flash movie, that's the reason why it hasn't just been already axed.
Yeah.
So they have to figure that out.
Yeah, they got to figure out how much.
And that's a tough problem being said.
Yep.
And Zaslav wants a cohesive universe. He essentially wants a reboot. We know that's his thinking, but he's been saddled with all these leftover strands that he has to try and tie together. And that's a.
And I think that's why the Flash movie is surviving, because he sees it as his easiest way to tie up all the crap from beforehand and start fresh afterwards.
Yeah, that's
also I heard that it's really good. Like,
and that's the other thing. If it's good,
really say it's
hey,
good.
Crazy people are creative.
Well, I don't think Ezra Miller had anything to do with the creation of the story.
There's a fine line between genius and madness. So it's
speaking of that, I'm gonna pull up that article that you put in the green room, Bob.
Oh yeah,
We'll talk about crazy is as crazy does. Police unable to locate mother and her. This is a little serious, though. I think.
This is frightening.
Her three kids who were staying with Ezra Miller in Vermont report. So, do you know this article or Bob?
Someone sent that to me in the headline, and I was like, oh my god, man! So I was looking into it. Apparently, he's not under arrest yet.
Yeah. This is crazy. To me.
That is crazy.
They have it on videotape, him assaulting that pregnant woman. Like, there's stuff that's there. Like, why wouldn't you arrest him?
I mean, I was watching a video today. Like, he stinks. Like, he's not bathing, and he's just like
he's gone off the deep end. Yeah,
exactly. He's gone.
Now they're talking about missing children. I mean, geez.
yeah.
Someone said that they actually he actually checked into a psych ward or something.
Well, maybe in lieu of prison, maybe in like one of those kind of penitentiary types where there's high security, things like that. Maybe he could get detoxed and then evaluated. But it says 25-year-old mother and her three kids are all staying at Ezra Miller's Vermont property. Remain unknown as authorities reportedly suspect the actor is hiding their location.
He claimed they left like 2 months ago or something like that, but they have evidence that they didn't. And it's crazy.
Good.
So there's no way DC and Warner Brothers is moving forward with Ezra Miller in that Flash movie. No. I mean, this is sobering me up. It has to be sobering up Warner Brothers. This guy is not just bad for business, but this guy is just bad for humanity.
It's a hazard.
Yeah, this is horrible.
Yeah, Wartu said he has been charged, but allegedly in rehab, but that's most likely BS too. Yeah. I think he's at the end of his rope now, and he's just trying to survive. And like what was it, the last Fantastic Beasts movie completely tanked because he was in it.
Yep.
Well, that and the movie before that was pretty horrible, and then
and how they got rid of Johnny Depp also.
Johnny Depp and all that,
and that got on the way of that movie.
All the reports are saying that they
Rolling Stones.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
The order says, according to Rolling Stones, that remaining in the house is contrary to the child's welfare, and that the children's safety cannot be reasonably assured if they remain in custody. If the child's parents, guardian, or custodian, police again show up to Miller's residence Tuesday night for about an hour per the outlet. I guess this is when they start figuring out that the kids were missing. When reached by people, Vermont State Police directed a request to the Vermont Department of Children and Family, which doesn't comment on cases due to confidentiality concerns. Reps for Miller and the Vermont State Attorney's Office did not immediately respond to people's request for comment.
As you would expect.
Yeah, the father of the 3 children told Rolling Stone in June that he was concerned for their well-being. I mean, that guns and marijuana were easily to them at the Justice League Actors Farm. The mother, meanwhile, told the outlet Miller, 29, has helped her get away from what she described as an abusive ex and expressed gratitude for having a safe environment. She said Miller's farm was a healing haven for us.
Sounds like
man, some girls just have really great taste in men.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, if everything's to be believed, like he's been like kind of like trying to build his own little cult or something.
Yeah.
So
that's exactly what he's doing. Yes.
Keeping it from Kool-Aid.
Yeah, I do not want to go get my kids. They mean the effing world to me, the dad said at the time, also claiming that Miller paid to fly the woman and her kids to Vermont after meeting them in Hawaii earlier this year.
This sounds like just like all this this sounds like typical predator behavior. You find somebody that's struggling, somebody that's looking for help, someone that's vulnerable, and then you insert yourself.
The mother, wow, that's weird going to the mother's perspective, said at the time that Miller may have firearms and are for self-defense purposes, and they are stored in a part of the house that the children never go in. My kids are able to relax more into the healing because of the safety and nurturing Ezra has been providing for them. Is this the same woman that is missing?
This is the one they're looking for. This is the one that took her kids and took off.
Oh my God!
This is the one that's on the run. It's either on the run, hiding, or God help, something else has happened to him. I don't even want to think about that.
Not fun.
Okay, so in a separate case on Monday, the Vermont State Police said it was altered or alerted of a burglary in the Vermont home belonging to Isaac whoever at 555 whatever, and that several bottles of alcohol were taken from within the residence while the homeowners were not present. After looking at surveillance footage and taking statements, police said they had a probable cause to charge Miller with the offense of felony burglary that's why they can't hold him. He could probably get out with paying a fine. What is it? Bail or whatever.
Bail, yeah.
Well, here's the thing. Once, like Worthy said, when someone is in rehab, the individual does not have to report to court unless it involves murder. So, I think he's using this as a means of keeping himself out of friggin' jail.
Right. But also, they don't have this newest one is it's kind of breaking and entering. So that's not like murder or anything like that. So
right.
I don't think they can hold him for very long and so that's why at best they could probably get him into some kind of, high rehab. Yeah. Authorities.
That's exceedingly bizarre behavior though. I mean, if you're starring in DC movies, you can afford a bottle of vodka,
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah. That's super, super odd.
Yeah. This dude is like, he is off he is off the reservation at this point, man.
Well, just to back up, I mean, they've said, I don't know if it's the same woman or if it's other cases, because there's this type of grooming with other other kids, and so I've heard that he goes into these family homes, like the family knows him, and some of them say that he's armed, or that he has like body armor on.
He's wearing body armor and bulletproof vests, and then,
right, like
carrying guns, and
somehow he's expecting the worst at any point. Like either that's completely paranoid to the nth degree, or he's doing some shit that he knows that it's going to end bloody. You know what I mean? Like,
well, look what happened with that chick from Smallville, man.
Yeah.
That whole situation.
The Nixium.
Yeah. This kind of feels like a like a hamburger together version of that crap, you know?
Yeah.
And it's like I said, and the same thing with that girl from the Indian reservation, that where her parents were looking for her too. He found somebody that was vulnerable. He meets these people at like conventions and stuff, and when he goes to shows.
That's the family that was saying what I just said.
Right?
Yeah,
he comes in and he finds these people that are vulnerable. These young people that are vulnerable.
People, yeah.
Yeah, that's the thing, impressionable. And then he inserts himself into their lives.
Well, also he seems, there's two things he does that are predatorial. He seems like he's not a guy, right? Like he's just like this.
Barbie girl.
They, them, you know, transgendered, whatever.
Gender binary or something like that. I don't know. I don't know. She changes every day.
Basically,
I don't play that game.
Basically, that equates, you know, non-threatening, right? So that's one. So he's coming in kind of like, well, you know what? I'm just this guy. And then the other is that he's like, he wants social justice. So he's going in, it's like he has this cause. So he's kind of coming in like, we can save the world. We're going to unite. We're going to do this, you know, together. You know, all that type of stuff. So there's a goal. There's something that they're working towards. And so between those two things, I believe that he's kind of fits the profile for a predator.
Yeah.
You know,
I'm in Vermont every day, literally. I mean, I was in Vermont today, and you know, and maybe to find a dude wearing a dress is not so unusual. Find somebody wearing body armor, you know, walking around that's completely odd for this kind of area.
Dude, I used to
armor and a dress.
I'm a redneck, man.
Yeah, dress and body armor.
I lived in Kentucky where my uncle ran a friggin' moonshine still, and like people walk around with walking down the street with a shotgun on their shoulder. If I saw a dude walking around in body armor, I'd be like, yeah, this guy did something.
Yeah, exactly. Like
he's worried about something, man.
Yeah, like no exaggeration. Up here, I was at a barbecue once, and all the guys there were law enforcement, and you know, across the street somewhere, there was, you know, just gunfire started going off. I mean, like, you know, 20, 30 shots, and nobody turned around, nobody crossed the street, nobody put their beard down. It's like, you know, they didn't think anything of it. It was like, all right,
this is what do you think that was? I think that was a 9mm SIG.
People shoot guns up here. You know, that's not an unusual thing. But you know, I've never seen anybody walking around with body armor. That would be very
never. I saw a guy walking around with a sword once, but that was about it.
Yeah.
Well, you're definitely expecting the worst if you're wearing body armor.
There's something odd going on.
Yeah. So the thing that I find unusual about this is if there's a missing persons case, especially with 3 children, it seems like the authorities, he would be kind of what do they call it, where they just kind of hold you, you know, until they can find these kids. Like
they got to have their eye on this guy at least. I mean, until people turn up. Yeah. You know, even if he's in rehab, I'm sure there's somebody outside keeping tabs on him, because you got missing kids. That's a whole
and the fact that he was on the run for so long, and like he might just try to skip out.
Yeah, he seems like a flight risk, totally.
Yeah.
Well, there's that footage of him getting busted at some bar, right? And so the police take him, and he's in the parking lot. And the camera, I guess it's one of the cops' cameras or whatever, and they're all 3 standing there. There's 2 police officers, and there's Ezra Miller, and Ezra Miller just kind of starts walking away, just very casually from the situation. And then the police officer's like, you know, you're under investigation, right? He can't walk away, and he's just like,
I mean, he walked away from 2 pretty short police officers. That was very odd.
Right. I actually thought that Ezra Miller was tall, but then I was later corrected that it was short police officer.
Yeah.
So Wartu said he's a lot more versed in this. He said that Ezra Miller's always been very vocal as a Second Amendment supporter, which he and EVS think that this whole non-binary Hollywood persona thing might be bullshit.
That's what I was saying. Like
using for clout.
It's bullshit to try to disarm people, like you know, an ice cream truck, a guy that's, you know, trying to get children, and he gets an ice cream truck, or he's a clown and he goes to children's parties. You know what I mean? Like it's the same type of bullshit. It's
Pedro's like we're talking about predators and stuff, and Pedro's just like
Pedro, where do you live? Where are you?
Who?
Where do you live, Pedro?
Oh, I live in Panama. Central America.
Panama. They have Mr. Softy in Panama?
Yeah, we do.
We do. Oh, wow.
We do have Mr. Softy, yeah.
They're not heathens.
Not
Well,
even.
it's Mr. Softy.
We're
I didn't know that was,
civilized.
like worldwide.
We're civilized. No.
Yeah, you know, we don't chop everybody's head off with a machete.
Yeah. Just certain people.
I've only seen
certain
Mr.
people.
Softy in the tri-state area. I've never seen
Yeah.
anywhere else in the country.
Well, let's speculate now. Where do you think the DC universe is going? And then we'll wrap this up with this.
Okay.
So you know, like we got Zaslav in there. He's chopping things up. He's trying to make things make sense, trying to make them profitable. He's already gone on record saying he wants a Marvel type universe. You know, so he said that. He's also said he doesn't mind spending money if it's going to, you know, pay off and it's worthwhile.
Mm-hmm.
So having said that, but we also haven't really got into the DC publishing because they shut down the offices, you know, stuff like that. So we can also speculate on where we think the publishing is going to go.
Is Warner Brothers now exercising some control over DC with respect to publishing comics and stuff? Because they were so hands off for so long. I mean,
no, I think Zaslav is the one.
Oh, really?
That's kind of orchestrating where they got rid of the office, so that the Burbank office is no longer in existence. Now it's just kind of like it's just a warehouse that they have, you know, like a desk sat, and so it's first come first serve kind of thing as far as editorial and things like that. So that's gone. So that's already downsizing, and there's a lot of speculation that there is going to be some major. Well, they got rid of Ito. They got rid of Diane Nielsen.
They've already went through multiple rounds of layoffs to the point where they are right now. Like it's a skeleton crew of editors.
I think there's going to be a bunch of books that are going to be on the chopping block and the creators that are involved with them. Because I don't know if you guys ever watch Thinking Critical, any of his videos or whatnot. He did a video on DC's sales in July. Half their books were outside of the top 100.
Half of them?
Half of their books were out, including Batman books, start with Bruce Wayne in them.
Yeah.
Remember the one that just came out where it was all like he was like kind of like siding with Antifa, that kind of thinking. That book was like 136 or something like that. And not only that, but half of them are out, like over half their books were outside of the top 100, and like 30% of their books were outside the top 150.
Wow.
I mean, we're talking bad.
Yeah.
That's bad.
Bad luck. Yeah.
That is really bad. And they had 13 books, including a Wonder Woman book and 2 Batman books that were outside the top 200. That weren't even ranked.
Wow.
That's bad.
Yeah. Well, in the day when I was working at Marvel, there were a bunch of books that were canceled, and they said if the book sells under 30,000, they cannot make a profit. That was 30,000. Like these books aren't even coming close.
Oh, 30,000 is a big hit.
Yeah.
When I started, it was 60,000. That was the cutoff at DC. I got my first job because, it was a Spirit, I think, or something. It had got to like 64,000. And they were like, okay, we're going to cut this. And, the writer wanted to stay on it. And they were like, okay, if he wants to stay on it. Literally, Dick Giordano said, I was sitting next to him, so I let him drive. That's what they were going to cut it.
Yeah.
But
just like the idea that many of their books, and obviously it's mostly their mid tier characters and what like that, but there's still like Wonder Woman books and Batman books with Bruce Wayne in them. Superman was Action Comics was outside of the top 100.
Oh man, really?
It's weird what happens when you like go out of your way to alienate your fan base.
Yeah.
No
I never would have thought that would be possible.
But if Zaslav is going to take control of DC publishing like he has, the DC movie universe, then I think you're going to see, that same mentality to it. He's going to restructure.
What I want to hear is like 5 to 10 years from now, like, you know, comic book creators, they kind of stay in these circle packs, and you hear stories like, oh, this, like we picked Art's brain for all the stories we can. And like, I want to hear 5 from 10 years from now, the thinking of what some of these editors were doing at DC, like the behind the scenes, like stuff we'd never find out about right now, but like just the mentality that went into, all right, this is what the thinking was. This is why we were doing this. There was stuff that you guys, as you know, just outside of DC editorial, didn't know about. There were actual reasons, or just the mentality. That's the story that I want to have come out someday.
The thing is, I can't answer that like with any kind of, you know.
Oh yeah, you have to wait.
But I can speculate.
Yeah.
What I think, and I know this industry, they go after the sure thing. They're not building anything to last. They're not thinking about tomorrow. They're just thinking about getting past whatever problem is right in front of them. So I think what DC did, and what a lot of these companies are doing in general, is I think they're wooing the ESG money. Yeah. And so I think they retooled the entire universe, the DC publishing universe, to adapt to getting ESG money. And so the ESG money was a way to once again just put a Band-Aid on the situation, but to keep the publishing going. That's all they were worried about and concerned with, is just staying alive.
Get my paycheck.
They were wooing the devil, you know, and so the devil came in. And the thing, well, I think that ESG stuff is like, it's like Satan with the devil, right? Because they infiltrate and then they just destroy it from within. And so, you know, what people are finding out now is that this go woke, you know, get woke, go broke thing is actually true. It's real, you know, so they've been wooing, you know, the ESG money. It's kept them afloat all this time, because it sure isn't the sales based on what Bob just said. It's not the sales. So what they're doing is they're not going after the customer. They're not trying to create better books, better stories, you know, expand the line into other stores, other places. They're not doing any of that stuff. They're just singly going after that one source to placate them, to make money, to keep things afloat. That's it. But I think the Zaslav, I think the guy's got integrity too. I don't think he wants to fucking do that. I don't think he wants to entertain those assholes. I think he wants to make sustainable entertainment. I think he wants entertainment that will stand on its own. It'll make a profit, and people will love it. We talk about the Top Gun movie all the time. Like, it can be done.
Yeah, Spider-Man: No Way Home made made $1.5 billion, man.
Right. And that's better than any stupid ass ESG money. Also, you're not beholden to some kind of quacks that are going to start, you know, infiltrating your business and telling you how to run it. You know what I mean? Like what is Jim Lee going to do? Does he know how to tell woke stories? Like, you know, all that stuff. Like most of those people that were there know how to do it a certain way. But when you get a new, you know, paradigm, somebody else you have to answer to, then all of a sudden you're rethinking everything that you know instinctively to be true. You know what I mean? You're going, well, this is what Batman would do, but what would this do if he was more woke? Like, you know what I mean? Like, you have to start rethinking all these E versus or G versus E storylines, all this stuff that you understand to be true within superhero comics. Rethink everything just for the devil, which is ESG.
Yeah, superhero stories in a nutshell are, you know, high adventure tales. And that's all they are. They're escapism, they're, you know, heroism and all that stuff. And that's what they were created for, and that's what they do best. I mean, you have to revert back to that and embrace that, you know, if you expect to have any kind of success at storytelling. Because when you try to take these characters and shoehorn them into anything else, they kind of fall apart. We accept, you know, all kinds of things, you know, because they're superhero stories. But when they're not superhero stories, if you're just taking these characters and throwing them into other type of stories, or, you know, or
reducing them to being
social, you know, I mean, you get away from what it is that they are good at and what they're good for and what they're best at and how they're most entertaining. And when you run away from that, you just how you gonna sell it,
Well, with the social justice, stuff, it's like it's always been this way. People don't like to be preached to. Just bottom line, they don't like it. They can see through it and they hate it. So it could be something that they absolutely love, but then it's too much. What was that Star Trek? Like I like the Star Trek movies, and it was the one where they were like save the whales and all that crap.
The third one.
Yeah, I was like,
fourth.
This is getting real heavy-handed. It's getting really preachy, and I'm like, I'm not digging this.
At least they made that fun.
Yeah,
right.
So they made it. They made it. That was the joke Star Trek show.
Yeah. It was the light one.
But it was still like that kind of idea, and I was like, okay, let's save the whales, but why do we need to do that in Star Trek?
Well, yeah, but going back to the early days of Marvel, when Stan told a number of stories that had positive messages or socialist or something, it didn't hit you over the head with it. It wasn't preaching. He worked them into the superhero universe. They were, you got to be subtle with that type of thing if you want it to work. You can't just bang that drum because people are like, really? Okay, I get it. You told me. What's the story otherwise?
It can't be done. It can't be done. Yeah. I love the Denny O'Neil, Neil Adams, Hard Traveled Heroes.
Yeah, and that was heavy-handed.
That was very heavy-handed, but
but
it kind of worked because I felt like at least there was some kind of balance. There were two characters that kind of had a different viewpoint, and it was how that they were trying to work it out. See, that's the difference. They were trying to work out the differences, which made it very human. But now it's just like destroy the opponent. If they wrote that story now, they would definitely write it from one point of view. The other one would be completely wrong, and that would be it.
But Denny understood superheroes too. I mean, he would also write a good, any kind of superhero yarn. And Denny, if you guys remember him, I mean, he was firmly fixed in those point of views. But when you spoke to him, he was a normal guy. He was a quiet, unassuming dude, and but he was a good storyteller and a good writer, and he never was banging the drum for his specific social point of view or anything. He worked them into his stories, but still made them good stories and still entertaining stories. And so I mean that is fine. There's no reason you can't make that work in some kind of sense where it's just a part of the overall bigger story. So
right, it can't
be the story all the time because that's not a superhero comic. Yeah,
it's just another story, and in that case, then it's fine. But the stuff now, it's like
it's
they're going for headlines. They're making a big deal about it. It's like, and there's nothing really there's no real story. It's like the whole thing is just like, oh well, Jonathan Kent is a homosexual now, and that's it. That's the whole thing. There's no story really.
Yeah, they're literally actively engaging in tearing down, all the foundational characters that built DC and Marvel. And a lot of people just find it distasteful.
The thing that I find creepy about this is he was a little kid a couple of years ago. He was just a little kid, and it's like is that why Brian Bendis did that? To age him up so they could do crap like that? I'm like, come on, man, that's just whack.
Well, that's something Ezra Miller would do.
Yeah, that's some grooming shit. But
well, let's move forward. Let's let me say this, and then you can say what you're going to say. Let's try to move forward with the DCU so we can kind of start wrapping it up. But what were you going to say, Pedro?
Too late.
The guild is off the lily, Art.
Yeah, too late.
He forgot what he was going to say.
Exactly.
So the DC universe with the new Zaslav's Law. What do you guys think is going to happen? Do you think that do we have hope that it's going to be like while the Marvel universe is in decline? Do you think the DC universe is going to have a chance to eclipse it? I mean,
it's going to get better for sure. I mean, it can't get worse.
Is it going to be the DC universe we should have had, that we could have had? That
doesn't everybody want that?
I don't think so. I think that ship has sailed, unfortunately. I could see them. I could see them creating a connected universe that doesn't suck balls this time. but I don't see it rising to that same level. I just don't see it.
I don't think they're going to hit that Marvel level at all, but I think they could make it
Yeah.
good and
Yes, I think
worthwhile and something. Yeah, I mean, you can't just chase that dragon all the time. Or we need to have every film be like $100
billion,
or $1.5 billion, whatever. Yeah, you got to start with making good movies, and then with your universe, have them each movie support the other and have that rising tide raise all the ships and everything. But it's going to be less than what Marvel did. That's just the facts.
Yeah,
because we've already ridden that wave and we're on the back end of it.
People that are like, nah, it's screwed, man.
Well, I don't know, man.
Take it out back and shit it in the head. It's done.
Let's do a round robin. We'll go with Todd.
Movie,
we'll do Todd, and then we'll just go Pedro, and then we'll go round the horn, and we'll have our hot takes on where's the DC Universe the theatrical version going.
So nobody's mentioned James Gunn, which is one person that they have kept in they're talking to now to see what he wants to do. Now, if that's only the HBO Max stuff and not, I mean, I see him as a movie director, so he's got to want to be in it on the movies. So you're already like, are you gonna go full in with him and he's sets the plate of what you want to do or the foundation of what you want to do, or are you gonna try to bring back? Because I also hear they're talking to Henry Cavill. Are you gonna try to bring Snyder in there somehow? So you really, it's like grasping at straws already again. Like, could we fuck this up even more? You know what I mean?
Well, that's exactly my thought, Todd. And because mine's going. What I was going to end with is kind of what you're saying now. Is that I think for them to move forward, they have the will, they have the leadership that's willing to greenlight, but they still need the Kevin Feige guy. They still need that guy that has that vision, the guy that has the right take to move an entire universe, not a one-shot movie, but an entire universe to move forward. And they've made a lot of mistakes, so hopefully they can learn from them. But the only thing that I've heard that Zaslav has done that brings me hope that it could work is that one guy that oversaw like the Harry Potter stuff. And I think he was there for the Marvel Universe too, to be honest, in the early days. So he knows how to do these things, but whether he has a vision creatively, how to move it forward, I don't know. But he knows how to oversee something. You know what I mean? So that's good. So Pedro, what do you have?
Well, I don't know. Like, I'm having too much fun watching Zaslav clean house, and that to me is step one. So we're really talking about step two. Who's going to come in? Like, maybe they need like what they did with the Marvel Brain Trust, and maybe they can call Jeff Johns again because he was doing that for a while. Maybe they can call him back. Yeah, probably. But the thing is, like, I really don't do hope well, man. I'm Latin American, so I'm always expecting the worst. And like, probably if they get somebody who really knows the DC universe and knows the characters, and they allowed themselves to be led, because I mean that was the problem with Snyder. Snyder, like, I want everything to be cynical like me. Life sucks, and that's not DC, and that's why those movies look the way they look. So if they grab somebody, like, maybe not a Kevin Feige, maybe do like what they did at the beginning with Marvel, like the Marvel Brain Trust of people who know the DC universe, and they actually give like the directors, like, push them in the right direction with the characters. Something like that could happen, but right now they're just firing everyone. I'm having a lot of fun watching that. So I'm thoroughly entertained with just that.
Well, it's a start.
Yeah.
I mean, it had to be done. They had to clean house. But I think there's one key component is the Kevin Feige type guy, and Jeff Johns could possibly be that. I like what Todd said with James Gunn as well. But although that James Gunn, I think, has a certain sensibility, I'm not sure it's still the right sensibility. If he could work with somebody that had, I don't know, could be the yin to the yang, I think that could possibly work. But I think Gunn on his own, I'm not sure about that.
I would trust him with one of like with the Guardians of the Galaxy. I would trust him with a franchise. I wouldn't trust him with the entire
exactly.
universe.
I don't know, man. James Gunn that has that eyes wide shut picture, dressed like in a bunny suit. Like I don't know, that guy's weird to me.
Yeah, I think this like Wartooth 88. Get Villeneuve. How do you say Villeneuve?
Yeah.
Villeneuve to do Justice League film. I think that guy's a visionary. I would love to see him do something, but it's still going to be based on if the script's any good or not. It's all going to depend on if they really structure the DCU in a way that works, because they could get all kinds of visionary directors in, but you still have to set that universe up properly. And then after that, it's just kind of window dressing. It's just get some cool visionary directors in there to make the visual story work. Okay, well let's go with Clint, and then we're going to go Bob, and then we'll have Chris wrap it up. So what do you have, Clint?
Well, I think Zaslav, the one good thing he said is like they've made all the mistakes. DC's made all the mistakes. They crapped over all of the properties. They've been doing it for about a decade now, and he just quit kidding around. He's like, Marvel is doing it right. They're making tons of money. We're not going to do what we've been doing. We're going to emulate what Marvel is doing. And that's probably, it's like, that's a little bit of an ego check right there, is like saying that our company has been screwing up. And the first thing to, first step to admitting you have a problem, or is admitting you have a problem. And he's done that. He's like, Marvel is doing it right. We're going to emulate Marvel. Right. And like Marvel has shown them, like the whole game plan is out there. And I think if they go and emulate that with the characters and the fan base they have, and they go and choose new directors, new screenwriters, they start from their characters, from their origins, instead of trying to pick like exciting things and then starting out from there. Like Marvel's shown them the roadmap to success. And I think if they emulate it, maybe they won't be as original or whatever, cutting edge. But I think the fans will show up for it, and I think they'll make money, and I think they'll get the DC universe on the right path again.
Yes,
They need to start over, and I think emulating Marvel and what they've done, nobody's going to feel bad about that. They're like, and he stated it, so nobody's going to be like, "Oh, they're just copying Marvel." It's
yes,
like
we are.
I think the fans would be.
Everybody was.
But see, this is what I would do if I was DC. I would just say, Marvel ripped us off in the 60s. Like we had like 25 years on them. We created the superhero. You know what I mean? Like, that's the thing about DC. Chris might be able to back me up. I don't want to go on too much of a tangent, but it's like DC has always been ashamed of being DC. They always wanted to be Marvel, so I don't know why they would be hung up with the universe stuff, just embrace it. But at the same time, be proud of it. The DC's always kind of had this, oh, well, Superman's not cool. Screw you, Superman's cool. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
why would you even say that? Like, these are editors that I've worked with that said Superman's not cool. How do we make Superman cool? Superman is cool. Just stop talking like that. Like the thing is,
if that's your attitude, how are you ever going to get there?
Right. It becomes fulfilling prophecies. I've heard Mark Waid talk this way in Entertainment Weekly. I've heard Joe Quesada talk derogatory. Like they use terms like capes and tights and capes. They use derogatory terms like their fan base is in their mother's basement. They talk like this, and they talk like this when they get a platform, like a bigger platform than just the fan base. They talk like that. We have to stop talking this way. How is anybody going to want to read your book or follow you or whatever if you're ashamed of what you're doing, And
you're ashamed of your customers too.
Right. You have to stop doing that. You have to be enthusiastic about it. You have to be proud of what you're creating. Otherwise, people aren't going to give a shit. And so Joe Bernardo, says Joe Johnson start the movie universe with the Superman movie. He
He's
directed
right.
first Captain America. He also, if I'm not okay, he's Star Wars, instrumental in Star Wars, and I think didn't he direct The Rocketeer, which I think is fantastic. So he understands tone.
Tone would be perfect for
Okay, so let me just throw this out there as a pontificators. You know, we would try to work things out. All right, somebody brought up Jeff Johns. What about Jeff Johns and Joe Johnston or Johnson?
Oh yeah, Johnson. Yeah. Oh, dude.
Yeah.
If
That'd be a
I
good
see
team.
a Superman movie where somebody says, "Go get him, kid," dude, I'm sold. I'm sold. Like that. That's it. With the Rocketeer, that's when the mobster said, "Like, go get him, kid."
Yeah.
That's a movie making movie.
I think that's your first foot forward. I mean, obviously, you got to bring in that guy, the overseer who knows the characters is a comic book.
Well, think about it. Yeah,
at its core. But I think your first foot forward is that Christopher Reeve Superman. They can do it with Cavill, but they got to do that type of Superman movie, with that kind of tone. And this guy, Joe Bernardo, is absolutely right. That's a good guy for that type of project. That's the type of project you want to lead with. You want to set that tone that, okay, everything's, is going to be new, and, make that one great movie that everybody's like, holy shit. And, and then link everything from that.
Make that Iron Man.
Yeah.
Well,
but with Superman, which would be 10 times.
Yes.
Right. Well, you have like look what Jon Favreau did, with Iron Man. And he was instrumental in kind of being part of the brain trust in the early Marvel stuff. I think that they had some definitely difference of opinion, and that's why I think he kind of walked away from, because he was supposed to direct that Avengers movie and stuff like that. So I think that they had some creative decisions, that he didn't like. But if you think about, you get Joe Johnston, who understands tone. He understands what a fucking hero is. I mean, sure as hell does that. And then you get Jeff Johns to write, the stories and to kind of write an overall view of what the universe would be. Holy shit, dude. I think we just, thanks, Joe Bernardo.
We cracked it.
I think we just cracked it, man.
We cracked that nut.
Yeah, that's the thing. You look at the beginning of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. They got people that loved that knew the subject matter and loved it. Yes. That's why Jon Favreau did Iron Man. He loves that character.
Paramount.
He loves and that's the big deal. That you don't get someone like Zack Snyder who likes certain elements of things, but he's like, I don't like the fact that this character.
That's corny. That's
you don't understand.
That would work for Batman if you're gonna have that.
Yeah, that's saying. But Superman, that means you don't understand the character.
But it's not Superman.
Yeah,
you don't understand the universe. Like the universe isn't all like that. Like Batman's world is like that, but the whole universe isn't like that.
No,
so when you try to do that, you're failing the entire universe. Oh God, what was I gonna say? I'm just like on cloud nine. I think we actually cracked it. I think Johns and Joe Johnson. Holy shit, man!
We're gonna take credit for that, Joe.
I was going to bring up that director, but that was what I was going to say. But he hit the nail on the head. That'd be a great choice.
But that's the thing, is the opportunity is here. The opportunity to fix the DCU is there. Zaslav looks like that's where his focus is at, and the ability is there to do it. Now it's whether they can pull it off.
Yeah, and make it work before you spend $1 before you start
have it figured out.
Have it all figured out. I mean, don't jump the gun. Don't go, we got to get something out there to compete with whatever. That's bullshit, man. That is complete bullshit. And also just another little tangent aside, it's like, that's not how creativity works. No. You don't mandate it as a corporation and go, all right,
make a hit.
We need it by December 31st, next year. Like you can't really create that way. Most of the greatest movies and IPs in all these worlds have been created independently and then sold to a studio. This is kind of like Star Wars. All these things, they were created independent. They weren't created under the 20th Century Fox didn't go, hey, George Lucas, we have this idea. You know,
it's always a man with a vision or a woman.
Yeah.
You know,
and so
it's always that one guy.
Right. If Zaslav could get the right guys in there with the right vision and then let them go with it.
I think he would, though. I think that's his mentality. But, just from his point of view, does he understand he's got the right idea for sure. But does he understand the material well enough to hire that right guy? And
well,
that's
there was
everything revolves around that.
Somebody else mentioned it in the chat a while back, and I can't remember who it was. There was a report where he did send down a mandate to DC Comics to tell them, I want the originals back. Because they're doing that basically their version of 5G thing right now, that future state thing where Clark and Diana and Bruce are gone. He said, I want the originals back.
Yeah. And how do you have two Batmans floating around?
Yep.
That's
you can't.
Tough.
When everybody's Batman, being Batman isn't special.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Batman, nobody is.
Nobody is.
It's like it's funny how a movie by Brad Bird, like so succinctly put forward what the problem is with this whole it's a mantle crap.
But even that guy went all Hollywood.
I know
with the follow up and stuff like that. So these guys can all stumble. I do think you need good leadership to keep things once you come up with a way to move forward, then you need somebody to make sure that it doesn't vary from that. You need somebody.
It's got to be creative leadership, not financial leadership.
Or but let's just say Jeff Johns and Joe Johnson come in and they have the universe and Zaslav is sold on it. Then Zaslav has to go to the Warner executives, the shareholders and all that and say, no matter what, this is the vision. He has to defend that decision, because otherwise you're going to have a clusterfuck like you've had with the DC universe now, where they try to course correct, they try to shift it over, they try to jerry rig it while it's being created. And I think that you can alter things to a certain point, but only if it's built on something that is good and solid.
And temper expectations that not everything's going to be $1.5 billion. It's got to be good first, so you have something to build on.
Right, and the Marvel universe has proven that you can sandwich a Miss Marvel or a Captain Marvel movie between
get away with it,
and it will still do well. Like Bob brought up earlier with the Doctor Strange movie coming off of the Spider-Man, success of Spider-Man. You can do those things, but what Marvel does is they keep moving. So if this movie doesn't do well, then there's going to be this movie and so on and so forth. Yeah. The problem lately is they just haven't hit with anything good.
I think that whole Marvel wave is crashing down, and it's the white water, hitting the beach at this point. It's unless they course correct, but it doesn't look like they are.
But I think that's also because of who their corporate overlord is, which is Disney. And Disney as a company is doubling down on, the SJW, woke ESG kind of stuff. So,
but eventually that's going to cost them a lot of money.
Right. And that's another thing. If you have a Zaslav that's going to defend that vision to the shareholders and Warner Brothers as a corporation, then you need that too. So maybe, with those three people that we've mentioned, you could create a successful franchise moving forward. But you also have to get out of their way. Once you hire those guys, let them be creative,
Yeah, and I would love to see it. Who doesn't want that, successful DCU?
Oh, shit,
that would be amazing. Amazing with those characters.
I want a trilogy of awesome Superman movies.
Oh my god!
That shouldn't be too much to ask for a major movie studio.
I want that build up. I want that build up and development of them becoming a team, and then having them run headfirst to the dark side and getting friggin' murked, and then having to come back together and maybe form up with some other people, and then come back and finally. That's what I want, because Darkseid needs to be like that friggin' elemental friggin' evil, man. Well, if you don't beat him, you survive him.
Right. If you're gonna bring the Superman thing in, do the whole freaking origin, and then also you know, like the little Clark, you know, growing up and, you know, all that stuff. And then at the end of the movie, then you reveal like in the Iron Man movie, you've just become part of a bigger universe.
Yeah.
So then Lois Lane writes an article in the Daily Planet, says there are superhumans. There is Superman in the world. You know what I mean? So now what you're saying is you're declaring that superheroes exist in this universe.
Yeah. And what I would like to have done is like, because Bruce is, you know, I mean, it's friggin' Batman, so he knows everything. You know, just have them at the end of Batman, like, you know, obviously you can't kill Superman, but just have the three of them together and just have like a wall of monitors with different heroes and be like, okay, who do we go after first?
Yeah, well,
You know?
well, also there's a better way. I mean, if you establish all these characters in their own movie, but I like the way they did the Justice League animated.
Yes,
where they already existed, all the heroes, and then it was Martian Manhunter
brought them all together.
There was the invasion, and then he brought them all together, and they were all kind of involved with it in their own way, but they didn't have the overall big picture. And then, you know, Martian Manhunter kind of brings them together. Because I also think, like, for me, the Martian Manhunter is the Justice League. Like, he's like Captain America to me. Like he's the one character that really is best as a Justice League member. Like,
he's that character.
Solo, he's not that cool. Like Captain America, his solo stories I don't think are that great. But when he's got an army to lead, when he's the soldier, he kicks ass. Captain America in the Avengers is the best Captain America. Solo stories, they're okay. Fighting super villains, it's not all that cool. I feel the same way with Martian Manhunter. And also Martian Manhunter was there in the inception of the Justice League. There was no Batman and there was no Superman.
No.
I would also like to see a Justice League movie that focuses on that and see what happens when you do.
Because a character like that
dynamic.
Yeah, Superman doesn't really need the Justice League. So
no, but
the other way around.
What was it? It was Martian Manhunter. It was Wonder Woman. It was the Flash. It was the Green Lantern. It was Aquaman. And was the Atom, or was it just those five?
I thought Green Arrow was in there too.
No, Green Arrow. I know
that's the second incarnation.
Yeah.
No, he came a couple issues later. Like they were doing what you're saying, Bob. Once they were formed, they were recruiting new people because the Atom was soon to be brought in. Green Arrow and
Red Tornado and those guys.
And then later Batman and Superman. But they weren't original to the team, and I kind of like that idea of kind of Wonder Woman and like what would be the dynamic? Who would be the leader in that? Would it be Wonder Woman? Would it be Martian Manhunter? Would it be Aquaman? Would there be a power struggle? You know, I always think like Aquaman and Wonder Woman work well together because they both have their own like worlds, you know, that are mythic, you know, and they both kind of are like royalty, you know. So how would those two, you know, kind of relate to each other because they're both kind of like take charge, you know, leaders. And then later you introduce Superman, and Superman would probably not care about leading at all, you know, because it's just not really in his personality to do that. So, you know, then how would that dynamic work where people would start looking up to him, but then he'd go, well, I'm not really fit, you know, because that's the thing about Captain America too, is that his judgment is unquestionable. So he could also lead where Iron Man couldn't. Iron Man is messed up. Like he's going to make some bad decisions. Captain America is not. So then who would be the leader of the Justice League? Would it be Batman? Would Batman be the moral arbiter? You know, who's that guy? I would think. Oh, go ahead.
I was always like Batman and Martian Manhunter kind of always like swapped out who was like the
leader?
The strategist.
Okay.
For the team.
Yeah.
So I don't think Batman would necessarily be the leader. One, because most of the people wouldn't trust him.
Yep,
and two, because, you know, he's such a loner and everything, but he would be like kind of like that strategist and everything. I
think Wonder Woman or Aquaman. I would like to see one of those two actually lead the team. I think that would be badass. It would make sense, and I'm exactly on board with you, Bob.
Wonder Woman probably closer in temperament, you know.
Yep.
If they're not doing angry Wonder Woman, you know.
Yeah.
You're right. The original 5 was Green Lantern, Aquaman, Wonder Woman, The Flash, and Martian Manhunter.
But Superman is the leader, and Batman and Wonder Woman as field generals for Superman.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think that's just like, well, Superman's Superman, so we're going to give him the lead role. But I think as far as personalities, I think that there are people that would lead better, and that you would. But Superman is that character that you wouldn't question. His morality is sound, so he would be. He would be.
Yeah, but you know that's sometimes his weakness is that he's such a goody two-shoes.
Yeah,
Like,
which is why like they would always have like Martian Manhunter or Batman
too
be
much
like
of a Boy Scout,
the strategist, you know.
But if they did it right, if they made that great building into the team and everything, and then had that fantastic Justice League, then for Phase 2 you could do, you know, the satellite years and you know,
Actually,
you could open up that door.
I love the satellite years.
Yeah, you could open
If
the door to
Shazam
all
was sort of
extra
a
characters.
if Shazam was
Shazam's
sort
what?
of a wing of all this, right? Do you think
Mhm.
Plastic Man would go fit well into that
Wow.
universe?
That's a character I would bring in way later.
No,
and do,
but you know who's more of a Justice League member is the Elongated Man, more than Plastic Man.
Ralph.
Yeah, that's what
I would bring in Ralph. I would love to see them do like a movie where it's like have him come in a Batman movie where it's
Hey,
like
Bob,
two
take it.
detectives.
I'm gonna go use the restroom. I'll be right back.
Yeah, because Ralph Dibny was like for a long time was always thought of as the second greatest detective in the world. So that would be kind of cool to have like a Batman movie or something like that, or a Batman centric story where you've got other detectives there working together trying to solve this thing. That would be kind of
I'm
interesting.
concerned they would jump into the Brad Meltzer story with the with his wife and everything.
No,
Identity crisis.
That was a rough.
That was
Yeah.
you know what? That was a rough book,
very,
but man,
yeah,
The editors
dark story for
were
Justice
just
League.
so excited that they had Brad Metzler. And it's like,
But
Oh,
Brad
that's-
Meltzer does understand comics. Most guys that
Yeah.
do novels can't.
But
come
that
to
was an
comics and write a
awful,
comic.
awful,
You know what,
Yeah,
though?
that
Here's the
was
thing.
harsh.
storyline.
let's be honest.
Real harsh.
Those were characters that really weren't being used very much.
No.
Okay,
It's
And
still,
so
it's still.
I understand
it's a
that, but I'm
comic
saying-
book.
I understand
Yeah,
that.
God.
Oh no, dude,
I
it was
literally
dark.
found
That
story-
freaking
I found it shocking when I
that
read
book
it.
was
I
dark.
like, wow. Yeah,
That was
but-
awful.
but it was also-
a Justice League.
I hope
comic
the
book,
people that were like involved in that feel some shame.
I think I think
it was a well crafted story. It's just it
You-
was.
you
But it
take
was
out-
awful.
Justice
It's an
League.
awful, well crafted.
you take out
story.
two elements.
Yes.
You take out two elements. You take out the rape and you take out Sue's death.
Yeah.
And you superimpose and you put something else in there as the catalyst for them trying to find something. You take those two things out, and I think the shock value goes away.
Well,
will it
that's
have
all
the
it
punch
was
then?
shock value.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's all the story had.
Yeah, like they
Well-
leaned on a crutch. It's like the cheapest thing. Oh, well, it's the whole women in fridges. It's like the cheapest story element. That's not good writing.
I don't know, man. That when Kyle found his girl in that fridge, that was pretty intense, man.
It is intense, but it's cheap. It's like
You know, if we're gonna go intense, the setup to Darkest Night, I think it was, you know, when all the zombie heroes are coming back.
Yeah.
The zombies are coming back, the heroes, and basically destroying the living ones. Pretty crazy. I mean that speaking of Elongated Man, when he kills the hawk couple,
Yeah.
that with their own weapons, I think with the mace. Oh my gosh! I mean, if you're gonna go dark and really bloody,
Yeah.
I thought that was.
But no, I think you could like you could do like, you know, because the whole thing was what's her name, trying to get back with the Atom. I can't remember her name now.
We're about to lose me power wise.
Okay.
Sorry.
Well, you know what? Yeah, we could wrap this up.
I'm just saying if I
Yeah.
disappear, you know where I went.
But I think you could take that. You take her being killed out of there and just have like, you know, her being attacked, and then realizing that somebody is trying to hurt us, and then we're not safe anymore.
no,
You can
it's
still
not
do
20
that.
years too late.
I'll tell you my Justice League story. Okay, I think Starro is badass. I know all you
just
guys
gonna bring that up.
are
Starro?
Yeah.
laughing inside.
Dude, that would
Because
work.
he's like an alien face hugger, man. This
There's a lot of
character,
weirdness.
I mean,
that would
yeah,
work.
if you got Hollywood and you redesigned this character and you set out to legitimize this character as a real threat, Starro, and also Starro is the first villain in the first Justice League
movie.
Oh, so you have your freaking movie right there.
What did you think of Suicide Squad then?
And then you can get to Darkseid later.
Jokey.
You
I
didn't
thought
like the
he
way
looked.
was used?
I thought Starro looked cool. I liked that they flat out said that because like in the comics, you can get the little Starros off. In the movie, once they're on, the person's dead.
Yeah, I think that's why I'm saying facehuggers. They got to be like the aliens. Like,
Yeah,
you can't get them on.
but it would be cool if like if like it was like a stealth thing, you know, like
you know, Suicide Squad was filmed in Panama, right?
Yeah.
So I saw a couple of my friends being extras being like possessed by Starro. That was very
Oh,
funny.
nice.
Yeah.
But like what was that episode of Batman Beyond where Starro wasn't on their face? He was hidden on Batman's chest, on Superman's chest. So having like that kind of like a invasion of the body, like an invasion of the body snatchers kind of thing.
Yeah.
Where that was going on, that would make it terrifying.
No such thing as a bad character. It's bad writers.
Yes.
So,
Yeah.
I mean,
Yes.
And that's actually somebody made the point when we were talking about how they would always they were tearing down in interviews and stuff. They were tearing down, calling them capes and you know capes and boots and all that kind of crap.
wrong
Someone made the
attitude.
comment that said that that's just an excuse for because they don't know how to write for those characters.
Ouch.
True.
Yeah.
I have to say I kind of agree with that. Yeah.
How about that wrap up?
I'm
Yeah, anyway.
I'm going to show this real quick, and just say, this is my answer to you guys with Starro. Like, I think this is concept art for the movie, right?
Yeah.
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 I don't think you can do it like this. I think that it's
It needs
definitely
to be more terrifying.
yeah, it's got to be way outside the box. So I think you're going to have to veer from the original character a little bit more because this is really just really dumb.
Silly. It's silly.
It's
yeah.
camp.
Conceptually, it can absolutely work.
Yeah, exactly. Conceptually, it can work. And then,
But the colors are not working, man.
Yeah,
what's the giant eye in the center? Like, there's just a lot that
the eye
doesn't work.
needs to be smaller. It needs to be more sinister looking.
Yeah, I would say like if Geiger was still alive, man, let him take
Yeah.
Oh man,
a couple cracks at it. You know.
Yeah. I
Bernie
met Geiger
Wrightson.
once. I met him in a
Oh,
bar.
really?
Yeah.
He seems kind of like a weirdo.
He was a weird little guy. He was nice. You know, had a glass of wine with him. That was, you know,
He was a weird little guy.
he was a weird little guy.
Have you seen his work?
Yeah.
He's a weird dude, man.
It's all airbrush. All of it. It's all, you know, it's
Wow,
all oversized
that's a lot of
airbrush. So he can.
Have
do
you
it
ever
freehand.
seen his weird? Like they actually, I think I forget the director's name. Hired him to do a Batmobile.
Yeah,
Robin or whatever.
yeah, I have seen that.
Little tentacle Batmobiles. It's kind of weird, man.
It had dicks,
They
right?
actually someone said that they actually used that as the inspiration for that skeletal version of the Batmobile that they
It
used.
did lead to that, yeah. So
Yeah.
that's kind of a Geiger-esque, but it wasn't actually Geiger's
No.
design. But yeah, so I hope that David Zasloff was listening to the show. If you guys could,
Tag a minute, man.
please tweet out. Let people know that
You need a brain trust. We're right here.
yeah, that the Pontificators solved.
Yeah, I contributed already.
Yeah, between all of us, we got one. Between all of us, besides Chris, we got like one functioning brain.
Well, Chris is just like, I just gave DC another freaking idea.
God damn it.
There we go. I'll type it up so they can have it.
Now Chris has got another fight to fight. But yeah. So the answer is Jeff Johns and Joe Johnson with David Zaslav kind of making sure that the powers that be stay away from those two so that they can create the new Marvel Universe moving forward. So we all have YouTube channels, you guys. So come by, subscribe. And I do believe there's a couple Indiegogo campaigns in demand. I think Pedro's Tropical Magics is in demand. The link is in the description. We got Clint. Clint, you have two. You have
Pirate Queen 2 is still in demand, and then my book Slave Girl is still in demand. You can find those in Indiegogo.
Yep.
And I think the links might be in the chat there somewhere, but both books.
Well, no, it's in the description. So the Slave Girl link is in the description.
And I put them all in the chat too. So
Black and White is still kicking ass, you guys. Every week we continue to get more support. I do appreciate it. So that's Black and White, and that's in demand. Work on that book every day. It's a labor of love, and you guys support all the CG books. They're so good. It's just a great place to be right now. There's a lot of passion. There's a lot of excitement. I know Chris Wozniak is going to put out something soon, and
next month, Penelope Powerhouse.
Yeah. All right, guys. Are you aware of the new creator-owned comic movement?
Should we talk about creator next week?
The creator-owned comic movement, the movement with balls.
With balls, yeah. Just show your cock.
Yep.
Be proud of
it. The balls or is it the cock?
Just the cock. Creator-owned comics. So yeah,
you
just
can't
be proud of your cock and show
have the cock without the balls.
Exactly.
Oh man, I'm glad this.
I'm out.
I'm not doing the logo.
Yeah. I'm glad this started. I'm glad this started towards the end. Chris really is out,
and Chris is gone.
You know what, Chris doesn't bullshit. No bullshit with Chris.
He said his thing was about to die, and the last bit of energy came out of it. He's like, "Yeah, we're not staying for this."
All right, man. Well,
we ain't got time to crack a smile.
Yeah.
I want to thank everybody for coming in. I want to thank all the people in the chat for hanging out, watching this. You guys are the best audience ever. I know there's a lot of competition every night for you, and I'm glad that you chose to hang out with us for the last 2 hours and 21 minutes or whatever it's been. And I'm gonna have to sweet talk Chris to see if he wants to come back. Maybe for next week after Paige was freaking humiliated.
Yeah, dude.
Hey. We can't take you anywhere, man.
Yeah, it's horrible.
It's horrible. All right, you guys. Well, have a wonderful evening, and we'll see you next week on Pontificators.